Join us on Arena, Aneke TV's premium current affairs program, where politics, development and governance come alive. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, we host top professionals and thought leaders who speak their minds on issues shaping Nigeria and the world. It's inclusive, enriching and absolutely captivating.
The roadmap is: let's have our environment secured so that investors can come.
If you don't know what economic security is, kidnapping will tell you what it is. You kidnapping ransom.
Customers are going to get these meters, and like we said, it's at no cost.
There are things that dialogue can handle, but when you leave it, I want to use a kinetic approach alone. You cannot.
For discussions that promise insight and deliver truth, stay tuned, stay informed, and keep watching Arena, only on Aneke TV.
Welcome to news around the globe on Aneke TV, your trusted window to the major developments across Nigeria and the global community. I'm Deborah Wakaba. Glad to have you join us. Now to the headlines. Governor Seyi Makinde assures firm action following deadly bandit attack that claimed 5 forest guards. Anambra State Police Command rescued 33 girls in major child trafficking operation. Federal High Court orders forfeiture of 57 luxury properties linked to former AGF Abubakar Malami. And on the foreign scene, 5-day power outage in Berlin triggers national security concerns in Germany. And on business, Nigeria Customs Service announces new vehicle import policy for international travelers, reopens border access. And in entertainment, Nigerian music stars Adekunle Gold and Simi announced the birth of twins. And now to the news in details. Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State has condemned the deadly bandit attack on the National Park office in Orire local government area, which claimed the lives of 5 National Park Service forest guards. The attack occurred at Oloka village while the officers were on routine duty, throwing the community into mourning. Describing the incident as a coordinated cross-border assault, the governor said intelligence reports indicate the attackers infiltrated the area through porous boundary routes. He announced that joint security forces have been deployed to the affected axis, with reinforcement ordered to secure border communities and forest reserves. The governor assured residents that the state government is working closely with the federal security agencies to track down the perpetrators. He emphasized that the attack would not go unpunished and pledged full support for the families of the slain officers. The governor also appealed to residents to remain calm and cooperate with security agencies by providing useful information that could aid investigations. He stressed that community vigilance remains critical in preventing future attacks. Residents of Meiran, a suburb of Lagos, were thrown into panic yesterday following a violent clash involving hoodlums reportedly armed with axes. The incident occurred around Kabowe bus stop, causing chaos along the busy route. Eyewitnesses say rival groups chased one another openly on the road, forcing motorists to abandon their vehicles and flee for safety. Commercial activities were abruptly halted as commuters and traders scampered for cover. Although no casualties were recorded, the incident disrupted traffic flow for several hours and heightened fears among residents, many of whom described the scene as terrifying. A resident, Shegun, said he narrowly escaped harm after abandoning his car and seeking refuge in a nearby house. He called for increased police patrols in the area. Security operatives later restored calm, while residents urged authorities to intensify surveillance to prevent a recurrence. The Lagos State Police Command has arrested a 35-year-old woman, Modubola Bamishade, over an alleged online fraud involving more than 500 million naira. Police say the suspect defrauded over 100 victims through a fake gadget sales scheme. According to police investigations, the suspect specialized in advertising iPhones, iPad, and other Apple products at heavily discounted prices on social media platforms. To boost credibility, she allegedly engaged social media influencers to promote the sales. Victims reportedly paid for the gadgets but never received delivery, with the suspect allegedly offering repeated excuses to delay or avoid refunds. Complaints from defrauded customers later raised suspicion. Her arrest followed a report by one of the influencers involved, who became alarmed after being confronted by multiple buyers. Police investigation are ongoing and victims have visited the command to identify the suspect as efforts continue to recover the funds. The race for the 2027 presidential election has gained momentum as Senator Dati Baba Ahmed formally declared his intention to contest on the platform of the Labour Party. He made the announcement at a political rally in Abuja. The declaration comes days after Mr. Peter Obi's defection to the African Democratic Congress, a move that reshaped the opposition landscape. Senator Baba Ahmed said his ambition is not reactionary, noting that he has lost presidential aspirations since 2018. He stressed that his decision is driven by a desire to address Nigeria's economic and governance challenges, not by the departure of any individuals from the party. Senator Ireti Kingibe has dismissed claims that the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, poses a political threat to her re-election bid. She made the remarks during an appearance on Channels Television's Politics Today. The senator said the people of the FCT are politically independent and cannot be controlled or intimidated by any individual. According to her, electoral victory depends on performance and voter confidence. She also criticized the current administration of the FCT, alleging that key sectors such as healthcare and waste management are deteriorating. She claimed public hospitals lack basic medical supplies. Senator Kingibe urged the minister to pay close attention to the welfare of the residents and uphold the rule of law while executing infrastructure projects. Former presidential candidate Mr. Peter Obi has strongly criticized the federal government's decision to cancel nearly 8 trillion naira in debt owed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. He described the move as economically reckless. Mr. Obi questioned the rationale behind forgiving such a massive debt at a time Nigeria is burdened with rising electricity tariffs, increased taxes, and subsidy removal. He also referenced ongoing audits over trillions allegedly unaccounted for by the NNPC. According to Mr. Obi, the amount written off exceeds federal allocations to education, health, and agriculture combined in the 2025 budget. He argued that the funds could have been better utilized to create jobs and strengthen public infrastructure. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) has insisted it will continue investigating former NMD-PRA boss Farouk Ahmed despite the withdrawal of a petition by billionaire industrialist Aliko Dangote. The case arose from allegations that Ahmed spent millions of dollars on foreign education for his children, raising questions about the source of the funds. The allegations eventually led to Ahmed's resignation. Dangote later requested the withdrawal of his petition, citing intervention by another law enforcement agency. However, ICPC said corruption cases are pursued in the public interest and cannot be halted once investigations have commenced. The Commission said the probe will continue until accountability is established. The Anambra State Police Command has uncovered and dismantled a child trafficking syndicate operating in Okuzu. Police said the victims were held in concealed compound used for human trafficking and forced prostitution. Among those rescued were 3 teenagers abducted from Ebonyi State several months ago. A 37-year-old suspect, Ifeoma Success Anthony, was arrested at the scene while the property owner fled before the raid. The operation followed intelligence provided by relatives who reportedly spotted some of the victims in Okuleri. Police authorities have vowed to sustain the crackdown on trafficking networks and appeal to the public for credible information. Governor Peter Mbah of Enugu State has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to the welfare of Nigerian ex-servicemen and fallen heroes. He spoke during the launch of the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day emblem in Enugu. Represented by Deputy Governor Ifeanyi Osai, the governor praised the sacrifices of military veterans in securing the nation's democracy and territorial integrity. He stressed that the need for a structured and sustainable welfare framework for members of the Nigerian Legion beyond annual commemorations. Governor Mbah highlighted ongoing development projects in agriculture, education, healthcare, and infrastructure, noting opportunities for collaboration with veterans. The Nigerian Legion commended the state government's support and called for enhanced welfare programs for retirees, widows, and dependents. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has ordered interim forfeiture of 57 properties linked to former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. Justice Emeka Wite granted the order following an application by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, which suspects the assets were acquired through unlawful means. The properties include luxury hotels, filling stations, schools, and residential estates spread across Abuja, Kano, Kaduna, and Kebbi states. The court directed interested parties to show cause within 14 days why the assets should not be permanently forfeited to the federal government. Malami is also facing money laundering charges alongside his wife and son, with trial proceedings set to continue. The Nigerian Police Force has congratulated retired Deputy Inspector General of Police Godwin Wobodo on his coronation. Traditional ruler of Ihueze Newe Autonomous Community in Egungun State. The force described the coronation as a recognition of his integrity, leadership qualities, and decades of distinguished service to the nation. According to the police, Nwobodo's elevation reflects the confidence of his people in his ability to lead with wisdom and fairness. The Inspector General of Police expressed confidence that the new monarch will apply his experience in conflict resolution and governance to promote peace and development. Nwobodo served in several strategic roles in the police force, including DIG in charge of ICT, before retiring after over 3 decades of service. News around the globe is coming to you live from Aneke TV. Remember, you can stay connected with us across all our social media platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Now here's a quick recap of the major stories making the news. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde reaffirms commitment to decisive action following a bandit attack that left 5 forest guards dead. The Anambra State Police Command rescues 33 girls in a major operation against child trafficking. A federal high court orders the forfeiture of 57 luxury properties allegedly linked to former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. And coming up shortly, a 5-day power blackout in Berlin sparks serious national security concerns in Germany. The Nigerian Customs Service introduces a new vehicle policy for international travelers and reopens border access. And in entertainment, Nigerian music stars Adekunle Gold and Simi confirmed the arrival of twins. We'll be right back.
Asi na ekwekwo amagba ekwu ụmụ nwaanyị akụọla o ọkwa na nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị oge anyị ji akpa maka ọdịmma anyị karịkwa maka ọdịmma ezinụlọ. Nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị bụ ebe anyị na-akpa maka rike anyị, ndọrọndọrọ ọchịchị, azụmahịa, omenala ndị ahụ dị mma nakwa ihe ndị ahụ ga-eweta ọganihu n'obodo. Naanị ihe ị ga-eme bụ sonyela anyị na nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị ebe ahụ a na-akarị ihe na-eweta ọganihu n'obodo. Ndị nne, ndị nna, oge a bụkwa nke anyị. Sonyela anyị na Aneke TV n'ebe a na-emetụ aka n'ihe ndị oyibo na-akpọ social media na TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram. Ọkwa na Aneke TV ka ihe ndị a niile na-eme. Aneke TV, anyị apụọnụ.
Fierce fighting has broken out in Syria's northern city of Aleppo, forcing more than 45,000 civilians to flee as clashes erupted between Syrian government forces and the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces. Heavy shelling hit residential areas on Wednesday, killing at least 4 civilians and injuring dozens, while key roads, factories and the city's airport were shut down. The violence follows a collapse in negotiations between Damascus and Kurdish authorities who have controlled semi-autonomous areas in the north since late 2024. A previous agreement to integrate Kurdish fighters into the national army by the end of 2025 has stalled, with both sides trading accusations. The Syrian military has since declared Kurdish-held districts legitimate military targets. International mediators, reportedly led by the United States, are working to prevent further escalation amid fears of wider regional involvement, including Turkey. Thousands of residents are being evacuated through humanitarian corridors towards Afrin as the standoff threatens to reignite broader instability in Syria. Electricity is gradually being restored to parts of Berlin after the longest blackout in the city's post-war history. For 5 days, over 100,000 residents in Steglitz, Zellendorf were left without power following an arson attack on critical cables near the Lichfeld power plant. Hospitals, care homes and emergency services relied on backup generators, while residents endured freezing temperatures as winter conditions worsened. German authorities confirmed that far-left extremist group Volkan Gruppe claimed responsibility, saying it targeted fossil fuel infrastructure. Federal prosecutors have launched a terrorism investigation describing the attack as a direct assault on national infrastructure. The incident has renewed political pressure on the government to urgently strengthen protections for critical facilities under the proposed Critics Infrastructure Security Law. The United States military has seized 2 oil tankers linked to Venezuela's sanctioned shadow fleet in coordinated maritime operations. In the North Atlantic, U.S. forces supported by the British Royal Navy boarded a Russian-flagged vessel near Iceland, while another tanker was intercepted in the Caribbean. U.S. officials say the ships were engaged in illicit oil transport and were operating under false flags to evade sanctions. The action marks a major escalation in Washington's effort to block Venezuela crude exports following recent political developments in Caracas. Russia and China have condemned the seizures, warning of threats to global energy security. In Washington, lawmakers are demanding clarification on the legality and scope of the operations as the administration insists enforcement of oil sanctions will continue worldwide. The White House has confirmed that President Donald Trump's administration is actively discussing the purchase of Greenland from Denmark, describing it as a strategic necessity for Arctic security. Officials say all options remain on the table as the U.S. seeks to counter Russian and Chinese influence in the region. Denmark and Greenland have firmly rejected the proposal, with European leaders issuing a joint statement condemning any threat to Danish sovereignty. The announcement has triggered diplomatic tensions within NATO, coming shortly after recent U.S. military actions abroad. While high-level talks are expected in Copenhagen, reactions in Greenland remain mixed, with concerns over sovereignty and indigenous rights. The development represents one of the most serious transatlantic disputes in recent years. Minnesota has been placed on heightened security alert following the fatal shooting of a woman by a federal immigration agent in Minneapolis. The incident occurred during an enforcement operation, prompting Governor Tim Walz to place the National Guard on standby. Federal authorities say the agent acted in self-defense after the woman allegedly attempted to ram officers with a vehicle. Local leaders, including Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, have strongly criticized the operation, calling for federal agents to leave the city. The shooting comes amid a broader federal immigration crackdown and has intensified political tensions in Washington. Lawmakers clashed during congressional hearings as officials urged calm and warned against stigmatizing immigrant communities. Now to business news. The Nigerian Customs Service has introduced a new framework allowing temporary importation of personal vehicles by international travelers. The policy grants a 90-day temporary vehicle admission permit with a possible 30-day extension. Customs Comptroller General Adewale Adeniyi said the initiative aligns Nigeria with global trade standards and is aimed at boosting tourism and business travel. Eligible travelers must present valid international documentation, including a passport and committed passages. Officials stressed that vehicles admitted under the scheme must not be sold, leased or modified and must be cleared on exit. The service said the move balances trade facilitation with broader security. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Mr. Aneke Labobiri, has directed the new leadership of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to end recurring tanker explosions. He described safety in fuel transportation as non-negotiable. The minister urged the agency to focus on strict compliance while supporting business growth under the Renewed Hope agenda. He also reaffirmed the government's commitment to maintaining steady petrol supply nationwide. Mr. Labobiri said recent reforms have improved efficiency in licensing and regulation, adding that deregulation and strong safety enforcement remain key to stabilizing the energy sector and protecting lives. The Nigerian Customs Service Apapa Area Command has recorded a historic 2.93 trillion naira revenue for 2025, a 24% increase from the previous year. Officials attributed the growth to improved technology and transparency. Custom Area Comptroller Emmanuel Oshoba highlighted the impact of the BODOGU Unified Customs Management System, which has reduced delays in cargo clearance. The command also intercepted 53 containers of prohibited goods valued at 12.6 billion naira. Other commands, including Sheme, also reported significant revenue growth. Customs officials say enhanced surveillance and intelligence-led operation will continue into 2026. The Nigerian Labour Congress has warned that new tax laws could worsen poverty if not urgently reviewed. NLC President Joe Ajiro said the policies were introduced without adequate consultation with workers. He criticized plans to tax the national minimum wage, describing them as unfair amid rising living costs. The Labour body said the approach contradicts principle of progressive taxation. The NLC also called for the immediate constitution of the National Pension Commission Board, warning that delays undermine confidence in the pension system. The Naira depreciated further at both official and parallel foreign exchange markets on Wednesday. At the parallel market, the currency fell to 1,490 to the dollar. At the Nigerian foreign exchange market, the Naira weakened to 1,421 Naira per dollar, according to Central Bank of Nigerian data. This represents a 5 Naira depreciation from the previous trading day. The gap between the official and parallel market widened to 69 naira per dollar, reflecting continued pressure on the local currency. Now moving to sports, the Super Eagles have threatened to boycott their AFCON quarter-final match against Algeria over unpaid bonuses. Players reportedly refused to train or travel until the outstanding entitlements are settled. The Nigerian Football Federation says the Central Bank of Nigeria is processing payments, but players remain skeptical due to past delays. The dispute involved bonuses from 4 group stage victories. Nigeria is scheduled to face Algeria on January 10th. Officials are racing against time to resolve the issue and avoid disruption to the team's title challenge. Still on sports, Kano Pillars have released striker Samuel Tiza and midfielder Umar Sani Yakasai as part of the mid-season restructuring. The club described the departures as mutual. The 4-time champions are currently 18th on the NPFL table with 19 points from 19 matches. Management says changes are needed to improve performance in the second half of the season. More signings are expected ahead of the league's resumption as the club targets a move away from the relegation zone. And now in entertainment, Nigerian musician Adekule Gold and Simi have announced the birth of the twins. The news was shared by Adekule Gold on social media, confirming weeks of speculation. The couple had earlier hinted at the pregnancy in a music video released in December featuring Simi and the daughter. Fans and celebrities have since flooded social media with congratulatory messages. Married since 2019, the couple is widely admired for blending family life with successful musical careers. Actress Shola Kosoko has marked her 46th birthday with a tribute to her father, veteran actor Jide Kosoko. A video shared online shows her receiving prayers and blessings from him. The moment attracted widespread praise from the fans and colleagues, highlighting the strong bond within the Kosoko family. Shola expressed gratitude to God for life and family support. The actress, married with 3 children, continues to be celebrated for her consistency and professionalism in the Nigerian film industry. And finally, before we go on news around the globe, here's a recap of our top stories. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has vowed decisive action against criminal elements following a bandit attack that claimed the lives of 5 forest guards in the state. The Anambra State Police Command has rescued 33 girls during a major operation aimed at dismantling a child trafficking network. A federal high court has ordered the forfeiture of 57 luxury properties allegedly linked to former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. And on the foreign scene, thousands of civilians have been displaced as renewed fighting escalates tensions in Syria. We also told you that the Nigerian Customs Service has announced a new vehicle importation policy for international travelers easing border access. And that's news around the globe on Aneke TV. For more news and live updates, follow us across all social media platforms, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. I'm Deborah Wakba. Thank you for watching.
Online scams are becoming more common, from fake giveaways to phishing messages and investment fraud. We are on the street today to hear from Nigerians.
What leads to this camera is for you to get it quick, get it today. And for you to be counted, because in our society today, wealth counts. And if you have not gotten it quickly at your ripe age or at a younger age, it seems that you don't know what you are doing. I advise people to always be conscious of themselves and be contented with what you have at a particular moment.
Scammers are a turn to in our flesh. Right? They are a nuisance to the community now. People should be very, very careful. You know, don't be quick to give your information online. 1. Number 2, don't believe everything that someone tells you on social media, because that's one platform where scammers exploit a lot to scam people.
Of course, it's not a good one, because so many people do impersonate, trying to use someone's account, like to impersonate and make money. Some used to Like some come to social media handles like WhatsApp group, they'll start begging money, that kind of thing. So such a thing can spoil people's image, so it's not good. My advice to everybody that is using social media, just be very careful with your accounts. Don't share your personal password. Then if you see any message in your phone, if you receive any message from your phone telling you to send so many digits, such digit number to you know, that kind of thing, to groups or phones like that, nobody should fall a victim. Don't do it. Don't respond to chats that you don't know. And you see all these people that in social media that does not use their pictures, they use people's images. All these white men images, flowers and animations. Most of them are scammers. Don't accept their requests.
The scammers, you know, even in our current society, you get to see scammers on daily basis. And you know, some of them seem so simple, even just as I'm being dressed, wearing suits and all of that, but without knowing that they have an ulterior motive. And just for instance, like me, sometimes I will get to see my phone ringing and I think that I'm getting a very important call without knowing that it's actually coming from someone who wants to scam me in per se. So I've experienced it. And my advice to those being scammed or people to people so that they will not be scammed is that they should be very careful. Most especially, they should try to tame their urge for money, because sometimes one of the things that worsens the whole situation or gives or give hands to some of all these scammers is because of our urge and that greed part of us. We know we want to make money by all means and all of that. So they should reduce it. The Bible says that there is fruit for a lazy, for a hard-working person.
No, but they have been trying to scam me. But because of the knowledge that I have about scam, I was able to cope their scamming tactics. If you are contented with what you have, you won't be scammed. It's only when you expect to have more is when you'll be scammed, because they know that everybody is in need of one thing or the other, and you know that want is unlimited. Want is what you can continue to search till infinite. So if you are contented with what you have, there's nothing like scam to me. Then have a strong password. Don't reveal everything about you on social media.
I think there are greedy, selfish people. They should be careful. Everybody should be very careful. That's what I feel like. That's what I need to tell them.
I don't think scammers should be in Nigeria. Like we do things that will stop it, because lack of job causes scammers, scamming people. Like even everybody's afraid to join anything because of scammers.
You have heard it from people. Online scams are real and anyone can fall victim. The key to stay safe is to verify information before rushing into them. If you found this video helpful, like, subscribe for more conversations and real life story. I am Chinaza Ifeanyi, Aneke TV.
Then have a strong password. Don't reveal everything about you on social media.
I think there are greedy, selfish people. They should be careful. Everybody should be very careful. That's what I feel like. That's what I need to tell them.
I don't think scammers should be in Nigeria. Like we do things that will stop it, because lack of job causes scammers, scamming people. Like even everybody's afraid to join anything because of scammers.
You have heard it from people. Online scams are real and anyone can fall victim. The key to stay safe is to verify information before rushing into them. If you found this video helpful, like, subscribe for more conversations and real life story. I am Chinaza Ifeanyi, Aneke TV.
Aneke television. How agribo mu di egwu nkwa azụghị n'ahịa mgbochi okwukwu kakwa ogwugwu ema. How mba ụwa bịa na ihe ebube eme. Mgbagbu ụwa gbatawa na ihe ebube emewa. Aneke television na-emere ogbenye emere amadi ihe. Ị na-agba nkwụ, ị na-eme nkepụta nwa, ị na-akwa ozu, ị na-agba akwụkwọ. Bịawa na Aneke television, bịa ka ezuoru gị ozi ọma. Bịawa na Aneke television yidume. How na-emere ogbenye emere amadi ihe. Ụmụ Igbo bịawo.
Good morning, 042, and a beautiful morning to everyone watching. You're tuned into Sunrise on Aneke TV, where every sunrise begins with delightfulness. I'm bringing you Sunrise today. I am Deborah Wakba, coming to you live from our studio here in Vibrant Enugu.
And good morning to you, our global audience. I'm Uche Osai. Wherever you are, in traffic, at home, or even making breakfast, thank you for letting us into your space this beautiful morning. We're here to refresh, inform, and motivate.
Yes, and of course, today is Thursday, 8th January 2026. And of course, we've got a full package for you today here on Sunrise. And also, where we'll be giving you our latest news, what's trending, and of course, that special Sunrise vibe to help us on our day.
So, relax, grab that cup of coffee or tea, enjoy the cruise, because the sunrise is set sail.
Yes, and on Sunrise, we're kicking things off with our quote of the day with words that are thoughtful, words that are inspiring, words that offer insight to whatever we do to help us stay motivated or stay well-driven and also be focused.
Then, it's straight into the day's top headlines. All the key news update that you need to be informed will be shared, hot and tasty.
All right, now let's move over to our inspiration segment. But before then, we will be giving you our weather reports that is going to cover major cities in the southeast and beyond. So you know what to expect before you step out. Or if you've stepped out already, it is to keep you throughout the rest of the day.
And let's wrap things up with sports updates, the stock market update, to keep you informed and let you leave your home smiling.
All right. Now, our quote for today coming from Alan Cohen, and in the quote it says, "Do not wait until the conditions are perfect to begin. Beginning makes the conditions perfect." I'm going to take that quote again, coming from Alan Cohen, that says, "Do not wait until the conditions are perfect to begin. Beginning makes the conditions perfect." Now, this quote is a reminder about action, courage, and also growth. Now, this quote coming from Alan Cohen is simply saying that if you wait for the perfect time, perfect resources, or perfect confidence before you start a journey, that you may never begin the journey at all, because if you're waiting to start something, that is going to take you a whole lot more, and you will never start because you're waiting for the perfect time, you're waiting for the perfect opportunity. And also, he's saying that life can really give us ideal condition. Instead of us to wait, we should just act. We should start by acting. We should keep on moving forward and not wait for the right time. We should create the right time by ourselves. And that is what this quote coming from Alan Cohen is saying. Mr. Ocha, I would like to know your thoughts.
All right. Waiting for the perfect time is simply saying procrastination. That's becoming procrastination in disguise. And Alan this morning is telling us that we shouldn't wait. You know, it's not the seller doesn't wait for the sea, you know, for the tide to calm down before he sets sail. No, it is those difficult moments at sea that makes a seller, right? So you don't just wait for the coast to be clear. You just start from where you are. So you don't need to wait for that perfect time. There's no perfect time. You don't wait for the plans, for all things to come together. Start from where you are. The plans will begin to come together. And what we are saying in essence is that as we are stepping into a new year, you don't just wait for the whole plan. What plan do you have? Don't wait for that right moment. Start from where you are. Is it a proposal that you have? Send in that proposal. Don't wait for the right time. Don't wait because you do not know anybody at that place. Send in that proposal. Start from where you are. There's no need waiting. What do you want to do? You want to go into business. Start from where you are. You don't wait for the money to be complete. No. Start with what you have in your hand. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to go into business, like I do say, you start from your house. Yeah. You can start with the mobile device in your hand. You don't wait till you get a shop in the market. Start from where you are. That's what we are being told this morning. So we need not procrastinate. We need not wait for the weather to align. No. Yeah. Just begin. Once you have that thought in you, start out. Send that proposal. Are you making a new job application? It's time to send those applications out because there can never be a better time. Do not wait for those companies to call in for those adverts. Your own, your submission can make the organization realize that indeed they need someone in this very field. So start from where you are. Are you in the marketplace? Do not wait for you to get the whole goods. No, start from where you are. Are you planning to go into importation? We have been told this morning that we should just start from where we are. The amount in your hand, things are made easier. You can go into a combined, importation with people. So start from where you are. It doesn't have to wait. This is the hour, this is the moment, this is the time. And like we always say, it won't be good that at the end of that 365 days count, that the year miss you at that very spot. No, that would be the massive failure. That would be the greatest of all failures, to remain at same spot where 2026 met you. Yes. So do not procrastinate. I do not know what resolutions you've made coming into this year. Start now to implement them. There's no time left. So take that stride. Do not wait behind. Don't procrastinate. Take action. Like we did say yesterday, it's time to take that very step. Do not wait to see the whole staircase. No. You may not see where the staircase leads to, but take that first step. That's what matters. And do remember that it is those, storms, those unseasoned sea, that makes the sailor. So the experience that you gain from taking out will see you to the end. So this is the hour. This is the right moment. No procrastination. Just take that step.
Yeah, all right. Thank you very much. And also, one thing there is that the act of starting actually builds your confidence and also creates more opportunities for you. And also, when you begin to take that step, you would find out your fear reduces and your confidence also grows, and also that you would learn what works and what doesn't work for you. Now you're going to know what's the right thing to do when you start, actually, not when you're in a stagnant position or when you're in a particular sport and you're thinking of what is going to be, how it's going to end. But instead, if you take that step, you'd find out that you know what works and what doesn't work. And also, this quote is also encouraging us to stop overthinking, that we should stop overthinking, or we should stop waiting for something before we start. Instead, we should be bold enough to start. Like they said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So let us take that bold step in walking towards what we want to achieve, and that is what is going to create a perfect end.
Of course. And one thing, I realize that failure is part of success.
Yes,
so we shouldn't be afraid to fail. Just take that step. Doesn't matter if you stumble, if you fail. Failure is an intricate part of success story. So don't be afraid to fail. You can't set out. Yes, failure may be staring in the face, but you shouldn't be scared of it. Do you understand? When we talk about the most successful people all the time.
Yeah.
And when you take in their story, I like the story of Mike Aneke a lot. He will tell you the number of times that he was near failure, where he wanted to give up. Talk about corn oil, is oil exploration, where they spent billions of dollars exploring, at the verge of giving up, the last moment, where he wants to call it quits and now begin to strategize on how to pay debts, the loans they incurred, in that oil exploration. At that 11th hour, they struck gold, they struck oil. And today, that's the success story. So when you listen to Dangote, right? Go to Tony Elumelu, mention them. The successful people you have in Nigeria, for example, let's not go beyond our shores. They will all tell you that at one point or the other, they failed, right? So it shouldn't be an option for you. You shouldn't be scared of it. A lot of them, at one point or the other, a lot of the successful people, the successful, wealthy people that we want to emulate, either in business as entrepreneurs, they failed at one time or the other. When you read their story, you will know that, yes, you have to embrace failure as a stepping stone to success, not as a point of stagnancy or for you to remain at that very spot. No. What counts is that at the end of the day, when you look back, you will see at that very spot where you failed. And you know that where you fail, you can't fall again.
Yes.
When you cross a gutter, for instance, and mistakenly, you slip and fall, you will never fall at that same spot again.
Yes.
So you master that very place. No matter the terrain, the dangers, when you conquer that very first approach, that fear, then you see yourself excelling. You can only be able to tell people that at so and so point in life that I was near bankruptcy, that there's a moment when there was nothing left. I failed in this. But when people see the success that you've become, it becomes difficult for them to take that in. So the point this morning is, everyone need to hear this. We need to start from where we are. Even students, I don't know what it is that has been your challenge as a student, but this time to confront it. And until you confront it, until you stare it in the face and speak to it, you can and you will overcome. You will become a success story. So if you wait for the finest moment, it will never come. And like you did say, it's time to start with that very plan that you have about it. This is the right hour. This is the right moment. Start from where you are. That plan may not be perfect, but I tell you, when you take the first action, one thing is certain, clarity will set in.
That's true.
And with clarity, you can.
You know what you're marching forward. You know what is ahead of you because you've started already.
Yes, but if you remain where you are, lying down, waiting for the right moment, today is sunny, I can't go out, tomorrow will be hazy. And if it's not raining today, then sun will come out tomorrow. So there will never be a perfect time. What you do is take advantage. In the rain, in the sun, take advantage. And that's the only way you become successful. There are a lot of stories. There are a lot of stories to be told. There are men who have been successful because they did take a chance. They started. They did away with procrastination. And today, they are the stories that we read. They are worthy of emulation. They are people who want to be like. And other people can be like us if we take that chance today, if we take a step. And like we always say, 365 days, and today is the eighth day in it. There's still time. You still have time. Take that step. Yes, take that decision. Make that approach. Make that investment. Yes, don't stay at the spot where you are. Don't let 2026 meet you at the same spot. That will be the greatest of all failure.
Thank you very much for that. Just like Alan Cohen's quote is saying, do not wait until the conditions are perfect to begin. So beginning makes the condition perfect. Now you should create a perfect condition for yourself by taking that bold step. And while you're doing so, please also keep in mind that Eat New Sunrise is an opportunity or a platform where we grow and where we try something new or learn something different every day. So please let us know what this quote means to you. You can drop your thoughts on our social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, all at Aneke TV, or you can call our phone number 070-3043-7110. And up next is our weather report.
Yes, we'll take a look at the weather reports across major cities in the southeast today.
Yes, and we'll be starting off with Oka. Good morning, Oka. You're starting the day with cloudy skies and warm vibes. Expect mostly cloudy conditions through the morning into the afternoon, with temperatures climbing from comfy in the early hours to around 30 to 33 degrees Celsius in the afternoon, which is perfect weather for that slow traffic jam commute, with plenty of sunny intervals later on. The high UV levels mean sunglasses and sunscreen are still your best friends today.
Good morning, Diko City. Welcome to Enugu. Today is looking warmer and brighter by midday. Starting off mostly cloudy, but as the sun rises, partly sunny skies take over with temperatures cruising up towards mid-30s degrees centigrade. A great day if you're headed outdoors. Just keep hydrated.
And in our Abakaliki, Hello, Abakiliki. Your forecast is leaning sunny and hot. Early cloud cover gives way to sunny intervals and warm temperatures pushing into the mid 30 degrees Celsius. Light rain could pop up later for a brief cool down, but mostly it's sun-filled day, which is great for market runs or for hitting the road early before the heat peaks.
And good morning, Imo State. Welcome to Owerri. Good morning. You are in for a cloudy but toasty day. Expect overcast skies dominating most of the daylight hours with highs around low 30 degrees Celsius. Perfect weather for indoor errands or chilling under a tree with a cold drink.
And lastly, in Umahia starts is a nice mix of cloud and sunshine. Through the morning, expect intermittent clouds with temperatures rising to the low 30 degrees Celsius by midday. Afternoon stays warm with mostly cloudy skies, so you're covered whether you're heading to work or tending the garden.
So, wherever you are in the southeast today, stay safe, stay cool, dress light, but you may keep your umbrella handy. But do remember that either rain or shine, we've got you covered. And this is your weather report here on Sunrise on Aneke TV. We'll go on a short break and we'll return with more updates.
A sị na ekwe kụọ ama agba ekwe ụmụ nwaanyị akụọla o ọkwa na nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị oge anyị ji akpa maka ọdịmma anyị karịkwa maka ọdịmma ezinụlọ nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị bụ ebe anyị na-akpa maka arụike anyị ndọrọndọrọ ọchịchị azụmahịa omenala ndị ahụ dị mma nakwa ihe ndị ahụ ga-eweta ọganihu n'obodo. Naanị ihe ị ga-eme bụ sonyela anyị na nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị ebe ahụ a na-akarị ihe na-eweta ọganihu n'obodo. Ndị nne, ndị nna, oge a bụkwa nke anyị. Sonyela anyị na Aneke TV n'ebe a na-emetụ aka n'ihe ndị oyibo na-akpọ social media na TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram. Ọkwa na Aneke TV ka ihe ndị a niile na-eme. Aneke TV, anyị apụọnụ.
Phones has become part of everyday life, from work and school to businesses and socializing. But what if you had to go a whole week without yours? We hit the streets to find out what Nigerians think.
No, I can't even stay 2 minutes without my phone. If you remove God, now my phone. At times, if I plug my phone inside my parlor and then inside my room, once my phone is ringing, because my phone is always on silent, it will be touching me. The once I come out, I see somebody is calling me.
How can I stay without my phone? Like, it keeps me busy and all that. I stay alone, so there's no way I can just be staying without pressing my phone or anything.
No, because I will die. I might die. I will fall sick. Like, a lot of things. I lost a lot of money.
No, I can't. I can't. It's like my phone is like my best friend. Like, I'm like, I just can't stay without my phone.
Nga no na ekwentị m ya ka otu izu ma izu abụọ maka na ọ bụrụ na m eji ekwentị m ma ọ na ekwentị m na o furu ma ọ bụ na o nwere ebe nchefuru ekwentị m n'otu izu ụka ọ ga-adị ka a ga-asị na nnukwu ihe hunahara m maka na ekwentị apụtago nke mere na oge m na-agụ sekọndịrị ọ leta ka eji akwụkwọ ozi ka a na-akpọ leta ịchọ ka gị na nwanne gị ma ịchọ ka gị na mmadụ kpakọ iwere akwụkwọ ozi wee zigara onye ahụ mana ugbu a enwezi ihe dị ka akwụkwọ ozi nke a na-akpọ leta ya nwa kpataziri ekwentị pụta nke a kpọrọ foonu mezie onye ọbụla foonu ya dafuru ma ọ bụ foonu ya hunarị ya ọ dị ka a ga-asị na mmadụ nwụnahụrụ ya maka na ịchọ ịjụta ese onye nke gị ọ bụ ekwentị a ka ị ga-eji jụta ese ọ bụkwanụ na ekwentị ahụ adịghị ọ na-enye nsogbu n'ihi ya ọ bụrụ na ekwentị bụ ndụ m mana ekwentị na-enye aka na ndụ anyị na-ebi kịta.
No, because it's most importantly to me because I use it for my assignments, projects, and for reading. It helps me a lot.
From students to business owners, opinions varies. Some say it is impossible, while others say it is a challenge worth trying. One thing is clear, phones are more than just gadgets. They are essential tools for daily life. I am Chinaza Ifeanyi, Aneke.
To Sunrise on Aneke TV. Now we'll be taking a look at our stock market update today.
Yes, let's go to the stock market right now and know what happened in the market yesterday. Wednesday, January 7, 2026. The Nigerian stock market maintained its bullish streak for the third consecutive session of the year. The benchmark all-share index rose by 0.40%, approximately 640.68 points to close at 160,591.76. The performance pushed the total market capitalization to a new height of 102.68 trillion, largely driven by strong buying interest in the oil and gas and agricultural sector. Let's take a look at the top 5 gainers. High-priced stocks like Seplat and Okomu led the rally, with several tickers hitting the maximum daily limit of 10%. Seplat Energy, as of yesterday, closed its books at 6,171 naira to make a positive adjustment of 10%. They are followed by Okomu Oil, which closed its book yesterday at 1,204 naira 50 kobo, making a plus 10% positive adjustment. Next is Union Dye Consult, which closed at 8 naira 80 kobo, making a plus 10% adjustment. And we have NCR Nigeria, which closed its books yesterday at 79 naira 95 kobo, making a plus 9.97% positive adjustment. They are followed by McNicholas PLC, which closed trading yesterday at 4 naira 76 kobo, making a plus 9.93% positive adjustment. And next, we'll take a look at the top 5 losers. Despite the overall market gain, profit taking was evident in some consumer goods and industrial stocks. And this is shown by Cabre Nigeria, which closed its books yesterday at 63 naira, making a minus 10 negative adjustment. Taking us to Austin Lars and Company, which closed its trading yesterday at 5 naira 8 kobo, making a minus 9.93% negative adjustment. Aluminium extrusion company known as Ales closed trading yesterday at 19 naira 55 kobo, making a minus 9.91 negative adjustment. Taking us simply to McCall yesterday closed its trading at 4 naira 21 kobo, making a minus 9.85 negative adjustment as well. We have FTN Coca Processors closing trading yesterday at 6 naira 1 kobo, making equally a minus 9.62 negative adjustment. The market yesterday, the market sentiment remains slightly positive, though closely balanced with 35 gainers against 38 losers. Trading activity yesterday saw over 647 million shares exchanging hands, valued at roughly 19.8 billion naira. As of yesterday, in the parallel market, naira also shows strength, reaching a record high of 1,418.26 kobo against the US dollar on the same day. And this is very, very good performance as per naira at the parallel market yesterday. But do remember that if you want to make any financial investment due to the volatility of the market, do well to consult a financial advisor before making any such investment. And that's it for the stock market update today. Up next, we'll take a little break and go into sports.
Happy New Year in Nigeria. We hit the streets to hear from everyday Nigerians about their hopes and wishes for the country in 2026.
For this new year, I think the most serious thing that is affecting the masses are the prices of goods and services, transportation, all those things. So if the government can look into that and see how we can make it come down so that the masses can actually be able to have enough for themselves and their families, especially in this new tax law, then it would make life a whole lot better this 2026.
The most important is peace. Peace in this country. Peace is most important because without peace, nothing will move. Like if you go to the north, you see there's no peace there. Everybody's running helter-skelter. There's terrorists, banditry everywhere. So they don't have peace there. So number one thing I wish for this country is peace. In this thing, what I want our country to put their mind into, one, they are politicians. We have bad politicians. They are human disaster. So we should put our mind in our politicians. They are not representing us well. They are only representing their pockets. They should consider people they are ruling first, not their own pockets and their family. But once they consider the citizens, then all their there's a lot of things they have to provide for us, especially the health aspect of it, healthcare centers. When you go to a hospital, they don't have equipment, they don't have drugs. But when them themselves they are sick, they fly themselves out of this country to treat themselves, leaving we the citizens, the poor one, to die here.
My wish for Nigeria this year, 2026, is that God will keep us to see this year and the years ahead. And also, as we are preparing for election 2027, that God will help us to choose for himself, to choose a leader, the person who will take us to the highest level, the person who will, a president who will help us to rebuild and make this Nigeria a comfortable place for us. Last year, 2025, we are happy for if you go to market, you can see that there is food and the cooking utensils, everything. The fuel price, the prices of food is less, but there is no money. At least they should help us to increase salaries, so that at least when they pay you salary, you can see something to buy in market. But the little amount that the government pays is just like 80 pence. When you enter market, buy one or two things, you will not see anything. So in fact, one of the achievements, they should help increase salary so that people can go to market and buy something and still have something on their pockets.
Economy is very bad for us here. So I wish Nigerian economy to be far more better for even the young ones. So for all of us too. The government, they should look more on, like, let's just say, emphasize more on the economy, because without the economy being bad, will affect us. Like, we need to make the economy to be good, to be very good, to be like us now. Let's just say I'm one of the poor masses. Let's just say I'm one of the poor masses. I'm trying to survive. If the economy is good, I will not be trying that much to survive. It will be much easier for me. So I'm hoping to the economy to be much more better.
What I wish for the country is security, because the rate at which people are dying is alarming. And as it looks right now, nobody is safe. Right? It might be happening somewhere in the north. That does not mean that it will not go to the east or it will get to the south. So the earlier we stop it, the better for everyone. Because, well, I don't think everybody can save themselves. So the government have to step in and help the country.
I wish that we have a country where the voice of the common man is heard, and less corruption. You cannot say free corruption, like you cannot say zero corruption, but just less corruption.
I wish them a free terrorist year. That is my wish for Nigerians, and a good leader, just to count out it to a good leader, because by a good leader it will define the governing style of the country. So that is what I wish for Nigerians.
There you have it. Heartfelt wishes from Nigerians across the nation. Here is to a brighter, stronger, and more united Nigeria in 2026. I am Sharon Uche, Aneke TV.
As Nigeria enters 2026, the nation faces a pivotal year, balancing promise with responsibility. Economic analysts project steady growth and structural transformation, but the success of this year would depend on effective reforms, innovation, and citizen engagement. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, forecast a gross domestic product (GDP) growth of 4.5%, with inflation expected to ease into the low teens. Independent institutions, including the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, highlight a rebound in domestic demand and renewed investor confidence. Major drivers of growth include the near completion of the Ajokuta-Kaduna-Kano gas pipeline, expected to boost industrial activity, create jobs, and expand energy access in northern states. Ongoing tax and financial sector reforms also aim to strengthen public revenue and attract investment. Despite positive forecasts, Nigeria faces persistent hurdles. Rising inflation, especially on food and essential goods, continues to affect households. Security concerns in some regions disrupt communities and economic activity, while fiscal pressures require careful management to ensure sustainable growth. Growing sectors such as technology, creative industries, and service offer opportunities for job creation and innovation. Experts recommend improving agricultural supply chains, storage, and access to credit and technology for farmers. Transparent public spending, aligned with long-term development priorities, is essential. Supporting small and medium enterprises, SMEs, tech startups, and creative industries with funding and skills development can generate jobs, while expanding access to credit and fintech solutions will empower youth and women entrepreneurs. Strengthening community security is also crucial to protect farms, markets, and trade corridors. Experts stress that 2026 is a year for action, accountability, and inclusive growth. Governments must prioritize implementation and transparency in reforms. The private sector should invest in innovation and industrial growth, and citizens are encouraged to develop skills, embrace entrepreneurship, and actively contribute to community development. With practical reforms, investment in human capital, and collective effort, 2026 can be a year of resilience, hope, and national development. Nigeria's future will depend not only on policies, but on the commitment and actions of every Nigerian.
Sunrise on Aneke TV. Now we're taking a look at the major stories making the newspaper today from the Nation, Punch, Vanguard, and the Guardian newspaper.
And joining us this morning to give flesh to these stories is Emeka Odom, a veteran journalist, a development communication expert, and a public affairs analyst. Sir Emeka, it's a pleasure to have you on Sunrise this morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Good morning to our viewers. I'm just Mr. Emeka.
Okay, okay. Mr. Emeka will do. All right.
All right, now moving over to our headlines, starting from the Nation headline that says, tax laws effect on workers, Oshimole Ajero differs. And in the Punch paper, the headline there says, tax laws, 5 trillion naira VAT windfall for states as new formula begins. And on the Vanguard paper, the major headline there says 2027 PDP faction to hold talks with Obi Atiku. And then in the Guardian paper says 19 months after, governors explore gaps in the constitution, resist local government autonomy. And we'll be starting today's paper from the Punch newspaper, that headline that says 5 trillion tax laws, 5 trillion naira VAT windfall for state as new formula begins. Now, state governments are set for a major financial boost as a new VAT sharing formula kicks in. According to reports, states could collectively receive over 5 trillion naira in VAT revenue under the revised system, which gives more weight to derivation and consumption. Supporters say this will empower states to fund infrastructure, healthcare, and education. However, critics warn that without accountability, the extra funds may not translate into real development for citizens.
All right. We're looking issues around the new VAT regime that has, is being implemented and is empowering states and local governments as they will be collecting more from through the VAT as compared to 2025, where the federal government had about 15% from the VAT collection, but the new regime wills 55% to the state government and 35% to the local government. Amidst this sharing formula is what we call a windfall. But I want to ask this morning, as against the issue of local government autonomy, what's your view around this issue? Are we going to witness development at the grassroots? Are we going to see developments in infrastructure, impacts on healthcare, impact on education? What does this really mean?
Yeah, thank you so much. And your guess is as good as mine. That is the worry that most people, are expressing. Yes, there's nothing. The reforms are good. Because Nigeria is a federation, and when you come to a federation, there are federating units, and going further down also, beyond the subnationals, we have the local government system. The essence of all of these creations is to bring development, down to the grassroots. But unfortunately, you'll agree with me that we have not been seeing much of that. Perhaps apart from probably the First Republic, where we saw some level of autonomy within the regions and the federation, and also to the local government area level. In fact, a lot of the things we are seeing now probably were initiated then, and so that is the worry. Having these federating units, more money, get more money from the federal government, is not the issue. The issue is how well are these monies being utilized. Apart from 1 or 2 states in Nigeria today, you will probably go around and find out that it's the same case, year in, year out. Many of the major roads that are being taken care of still remains federal government roads, and many of the major infrastructures still remains federal government. For instance, look at the issue of power. One would have expected, that in the last 2 years or thereabouts, that subsidy was removed, and the states are collecting more from the federation account. One would have expected that at least the states would have ventured into electricity and probably take away a lot of the burden from the federal government. But it doesn't appear as if we are getting a better deal. So all of this money now, what guarantee do we have? Because the local government area system in Nigeria is as good as being in comatose. When I was growing up, as a little boy then, there were a lot of projects, a lot of infrastructures that were put in place or managed by the local government area system. Today, if you even go to some of the local government area headquarters, they don't have enough buildings to even decent buildings and facilities to accommodate their own staff in a very comfortable and conducive environment. Then how much would they do? A lot of roads, rural roads, can be undertaken by the federal by the local government area. But these things are not happening. So it's not about pushing more money. And by the way, look at what one of the papers is saying there. I think it's saying there that 19 months after the Supreme Court, when this government came into power, one of the first actions they took was to approach the Supreme Court to make a pronunciation on the issue of local government autonomy. And everybody held that approach. And expectedly, the Supreme Court made pronouncements that seemed to go well with the people. We all celebrated. But today, how many of the local government, we are still hearing stories of local government areas not getting the right autonomy. So that is the worry. It's not about more money, and that is also the reason why the subsidy, people are kicked against the removal of subsidy. It's not really because removal of subsidy is a bad thing on its own if done in the right atmosphere, in the right circumstance, and the right approach, and the right timing. Subsidy may not be entirely a very bad idea, but the extra money that is gotten from the subsidy, we are told that states are getting more money. Yes, the states are getting more money. Apart from 1 or 2 other states, can we really say that the people are feeling, the benefit or getting the dividends of this more money that's coming to the states? That is the issue.
Okay, I may want to ask, given that the framers of the Nigerian Constitution saw it wise to, have constituting or sharing powers, between the federation, in between the federal government, the state, and the local government. And what we're witnessing is a situation where it's as if the local governments are dominated by the states. And as against that background, I want to ask, where did we really get it wrong? Is it in the framing of the constitution that created the local government? Or is it that the Nigerian people really, let's speak to the leadership in Nigeria, are the people who are getting it all wrong?
For me, I think, to a reasonable extent, yes. If you look at, I don't know the exact part of that the constitution where, but the point, if you look at the relevant laws that, talks about local government administration, you find out also that that's what we call joint revenue accounts. Now, the joint account, the states and the local government. So when this money is released from the federal government, even though there's a certain portion there is meant for the local government, but it comes through the states, right? The local government areas don't join in the revenue allocation formula. At the meeting in Abuja, the local government area representatives don't join. It is the states, I think the Commissioner of Finance, that goes on behalf of the states. But the money is getting, the share of local government area is in that money because it comes through only one account. And that is now where the challenge is. When the money gets into the state account, under normal circumstances, the state is meant to, remit the one that belongs to the local government area right away without any delay. But that is not happening. And the states themselves are not asking because many of them, they have very, very, what I may call, unhealthy loyalty to the state authorities. Unhealthy loyalty in the sense that, of course, you know how a lot of the local government area chairmen came to office, even though we can say yes, there was something that looked like an election. But
something that looked like an election.
Yes, something that looked like an election.
Why does it look like an election? There was an election.
You see, because we all understand election to be, when you want to do an election, there has to be some degree of independence on the part of the organizing body. In this case, now the states independent electoral commissions. In many of the states, they can, even though they are called SEC, state independent electoral commission, are they really independent? They should answer that question. Are they really independent? That's number one. Number two, yes, this is politics. The government may be interested in who becomes which local government area chairman in which state, but that interest is how far you drive that interest becomes a case of, becomes a situation where in a particular the party ruling at the state level is usually the one that makes a clean sweep. In an election where there's more plural system of party structure. So it's how do you define that? Now, when this local government area chairman get into office, they don't have the guts to even ask the state authorities for their, it's whatever the governor, whatever gets to them is what they take. Apart from one or two states where the governor can say we are not owing local government areas allocation, we have the local government, but in reality, a lot of them are still complaining. So these are the issues. And when they are not getting the money that they ought to work with, a lot of the projects are stalled. Now, that is on one angle. Then the second angle is that even the local government areas themselves, what is the level of prudence? What is the level of transparency? And what is the level of accountability that exists at that level? That is the issue. So I think that there has to be an overhaul of the system. A situation where if for any reason the local government area monies will have to be given to them directly from CBN. If that is going to save, if that's going to be better, let's do it that way. And when these monies are given to them, we hold them accountable. The local government area chairman will now come, his budget will be in the public domain, and from time to time he will render account. And the local government area parliament, the councillors will be able to hold him accountable to say, look, what have you done? And the people will also do same. I mean, what we have now is a situation where, you know, a lot of things are not clear. A lot of things are shrouded in mystery, and even the people themselves are, well, do we say the people are even tired? Because sometimes we ask these questions and you don't get any answer. Instead, it fetches you, you know, trouble, and who want to continue to, you know, be seen as a troublemaker, because it's really a problem, and that is why, and that also takes us down to even the taxing system, because VAT is a tax. Now, many people have come to say, look, Nigerians don't pay tax. That has been that argument is there. Nigerians don't pay tax. The question is, does tax just drop from the sky? You don't wake up overnight and you say there's tax. Tax is a dividend that the government should, you know, make from an investment in the people. You see, because let me give you a typical example. VAT is the tax we pay from goods, from the purchase of goods and services. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Good. Now, the people must first of all have a purchasing power. If I want to buy a laptop now, because a laptop with the new law, laptop doesn't fall under essential goods and services. If I want to buy a laptop and this other person wants to buy probably or maybe he wants to enjoy you know, services in a 3-star hotel or so, good. Now both the service and the product are taxable as long as VAT is concerned. But before you can tax that purchase I make, I must have the purchasing power. If I don't have the money, either because I don't have a job or there's no business. If I'm a businessman for quite some time now, business is on the low side. I'm just struggling to even survive and to keep my family, you know, going. And so that luxury, that laptop becomes an extra luxury for me, which I'll just brush it aside. Now, the tax that is derivable by the government, if the man who sells that laptop is gone, they won't make it. And that is why, again, also I give you another example. If you, and you know, a lot of times they say this about Nigeria, that oh, Nigeria has a huge working population. Yes, that is correct. If we are 90 million, for instance, in this country, and for instance 45 million people are within the working age, that is the labor force, right?
Yes.
But the question now to ask is, you don't calculate your tax. You don't calculate your tax based on that 45 million people. The question to ask is, out of these 45 million people, how many of them are gainfully employed to be able to pay you tax? Either privately employed or employed by the public service, or people in, you know, self-employed. That is the question to ask. But you see, if you invest in the people, empower the people, many of them, a good percentage of that 45 million people will be employed by private hands. A good percentage of them will be employed by the public service. Another good percentage of them will go into self-business, right? And become self-employed. Then they will be able to do what? They'll be able to pay their tax. And government will make more money. Not only from tax on goods and services, tax in various other aspects. And that is the only way. So until that is done, you don't begin to tax people who are barely surviving, well, who are barely struggling to survive. It becomes hardship for them. It becomes oppression.
Well, that's quite interesting, but I want to take you back a bit. You know, we're looking at beyond the taxes. When this revenue, speaking to VAT, is being shared, is between the states, the local government, and I want to take you back to the issue around autonomy, because a number of times when we speak about the grassroots, the local government, will tie it to their inability to perform due to the autonomy that they don't really enjoy. But we've seen a Supreme Court ruling that empowers the local government, and here we've seen Mr. President sort of begging the state governments to let the local government chairman or the local government have a full autonomy. But this coming from a federal government that was able to seize the local government allocations of Osun State, for example. And why are we seeing them sort of cap in hand, unable to implement this Supreme Court ruling that empowers the local governments in this regard?
You remember also that this is a political, we are running a political system. The president himself, I'm sure, he doesn't want to be at loggerheads with the governors. We are in a season where nobody wants to incur the wrath of another person. Yes, he's the president. He's the most powerful man in the land. He's occupying the most powerful position. But he will need these governors in many other aspects as well. And so he wouldn't, probably in my thinking, he wouldn't want to, bully the governors in that regard. And remember, one of the papers is saying this morning that the governors, after 19 months after, they are exploring a loophole in the law. The governors themselves, they also have attorney generals, and who also advise them. So they will look at the law and see how they can, if there's any space through which they can still, continue on the old trajectory. That becomes the case. But what is most important then, we always say something. The Supreme Court has spoken, right?
Yes.
But it's not every issue in life that you resolve through the law. We must not lose track of that. And for me, though some people have looked at that law about local government administration and the relationship between local government area and the states, to say that, look, yes, the Supreme Court has spoken, but there are a lot of things that are not clear here. And because these things are not clear, we may see, Nigeria is still moving along the same line. And that seems to be happening. So, I don't think the president wants to, begin to now seize all the allocation of all the states, because they are not. If he does that, we may see a collusion between him and the states. And this is the president who probably will want to have who obviously may want to have a second term in office. And he will need these governors to work alongside him to be able to realize that ambition. So that is the checks and balances, that's the political checks and balances that are there. And the governors are aware of all of these things. They are very much aware. So and that is why many times you find where it is said, okay, you give me this and I give you this.
All right.
So it's a normal thing in politics, and we see it happen most of the time.
It's more of a matter of political correctness.
Yes, of course.
Then the vicious cycle continues.
Yes, because that would be the opportunity cost anyway. That would be the alternative for them.
All right.
All right, thank you very much for that. Now moving over to our next paper coming from the Vanguard, and the headline that says PDP function to hold talks with Obi Atiku. As the 2027 election draws closer, a faction within the PDP is preparing strategic talks with Peter Obi and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. The move signals early alliance building aimed at unseating the ruling party. Insiders say discussions may focus on forming a broad opposition coalition to avoid vote splitting.
All right, we're looking at 2027, and here's 2026. The politicking obviously has started. And looking at Obi Atiku, these are members of the coalition, and it's as if the coalition is getting stronger by the day. But one may want to ask, when we hear of the PDP, the question is which of the PDPs are we speaking to? But Mr. Eldon, looking at this headline, what do you make of this whole issue?
Yeah, there's nothing that is abnormal here. Everything here is normal because, in politics is about jojo. Politics is about lobbying. Politics is about, conversations, dialogue, meetings, and, agreements and disagreements to ultimately agree. Now this is the right period for it, because the parties are, with the new electoral law, between now and August, latest August, the parties would have, with the 2022 electoral law, well, it's no longer new because it has already produced it has already gone through an election cycle. So with the 2022 electoral law, latest August, all the parties would have produced their candidates, they are going to stand in 2027 general elections. Remember also that I think there are still talks whether the elections will be brought closer or so. So these are the normal things. Now, if you look at Nigerian politics, is full of all calculations, just like it is elsewhere. Politics is about calculations. If this man takes this, what will be remaining? Who will take A? And that's why a political philosopher said politics is all about who gets what and how he gets it. That's a typical example of what is playing out now. And for me, it is much better, because these are the things you expect politicians to do, so that at the end of the day they will agree. Talking about PDP faction, yes, of course, you don't need anybody to tell you that obviously it cannot be the Nyesomike faction, it cannot be the Anyanwu faction. However, that is only in name, but in personalities, you may see some of these people crisscrossing in the dark. That's why a lot of these meetings take place in the dark. So you may see this man wearing green in the daytime. At night, when the white people are holding the meeting, you may see him remove the white, and so that is why some people will tell you that sometimes when politicians tell you something, don't just completely take it to heart. It could change. One of the politicians said a promise is like, a political promise is like a wind. It changes direction, with geography. So that is the way it is. If you ask me, the paper didn't tell us exactly why they are holding the meetings, but we can guess. Obi and Atiku seems to be the two biggest political opposition figures we have in Nigeria right now. And I am one of the people who believe very strongly that for the opposition to make a formidable show in the 2027 general elections, and for the opposition to make a meaningful challenge, put up a meaningful challenge to the ruling APC, there has to be some form of coalition. Each of them going in separately, and that is why, for me, I'm happy that Obi moved into the ADC. That will now enable them, both the ADC, that will now enable these two characters to come under one umbrella. So it is expected, and it is a prayer, that if they contest the presidential nominations, whoever wins, the other ones will stay put with their supporters. Let their votes come under one party umbrella. A situation where they split their votes, like it happened in 2023, may not go well. I'm a supporter of liberal democracy. I want a situation where we have alternatives. You see, because if you don't have alternatives in democracy, the whole essence of democracy is gone. We cannot run a democracy where elections will come, we are left with only just one choice. For me, that is not it. Offer me an array of choices. Let's look at all the candidates. Make our choice. If I choose candidate A, you choose candidate B, and at the end of the day, your candidate wins on my own wins, we say, oh, but I told you, I made a better choice. Next election, you have another opportunity to get it right. So that is the whole essence of democracy. And in that kind of situation, it offers you and I the opportunity to, make our choice freely without intimidation, air our opinions freely without intimidation. These are the real ingredients and the real dividends of democracy, not bridge, not infrastructure. Any government can build bridge, any government can build infrastructure, but these basic crucibles upon which democracy is built, that is actually the real dividend of democracy. So let them talk more and more. I want their talk to center on, look, there's nothing wrong also in one person stepping down for another. I mean, it's normal, it happens in democracy. So, but if eventually they are not able to get that done, let them all go and test their popularity at the nomination ground, because that's why it's called nominations. If you look at the current government now, on the nomination ground, I think there were almost about 18 in number that contested the election. Though at some point in time, some people dropped, but ultimately more than 6 of them went to the polls. More than 6 of them contested, and the current president, you know, Ashwaji Bola Tinubu contested, Rotimi Amechi contested, the former vice president Oshibajo contested, Obonoyono contested, Dave Umahi contested, Chris Ngige contested, Chukwemeka Majuba contested, and 1 or 2 other people. So they were far more than 6, you know, that contested. And at the end of the day, a winner emerged, and all other people now rallied down. And so that is what we expect ADC to also do. If they cannot get people to step down for the other person, when they contest, whoever emerges, let the other people rally, like APC did in 2015. In 2015, Muhammadu Buhari contested, Atiku Abubakar contested, Kwankwaso contested, Rochas Okocha contested, and I think there was one other person also contested. But at the end of the day, when Muhammadu Buhari won, all of them came on. So that is the way to go about it. What we had in 2023, you know, where Obi got 6 million votes, Atiku Abubakar got 6 point something million votes. Those votes put together would have been 12 million.
Sure.
Good. So let them talk.
All right. But against the background of the Nigerian politics, where we see party primaries is mostly dominated with money, where you see cash and carry, you know, politics for nomination, and the likes of former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, you know, you would usually say in the Nigerian palace, I know they give shishi, and a lot of his supporters, called the Obedience, have equally openly said that their votes are not transferable. Would you, against that background, encourage Obi to go into primaries in ADC with the likes of Atiku Abubakar, who have really, apart from few stitches in the APC, where just a single occasion in APC where he lost a primary, has never lost primaries?
No, you see, we must also be very realistic, because emotions don't win elections.
Okay.
I've had the little privilege of contesting election in the university, as you know, at the student level, and I won some and I also lost some. Well, I lost only one, and I won the rest of the elections I contested. Now the point is, elections don't win elections. I mean, emotions don't win elections. I see the Obedience. Yes, I respect them. You know, I respect the Obedience for their you know, their energy, their choice they have made, and you know, the passion that they are attaching to their decision. But they must understand that only obedience cannot guarantee will be a presidential in the very first place, to even begin with. How many Obedience are going to become delegates at the party primaries? How many Obedience are going to be? Yes, Obedience may vote in the general election itself, and it's not even every Obedient that is a card carrying member of that has a PVC. That is number one. Number two, for Obi, the Nations Cup is going on now, isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And we all want Nigeria to win and bring the cup.
Yes.
Is that not correct?
Sure.
For Nigeria to win and bring the cup home, you must find yourself face to face with the strong teams. Your ability to beat them will confirm, you know, the true state of your championship. You cannot be a champion if you cannot build the masters. So Obi himself in 2023, he didn't quite face any challenge in the nomination. Where he probably could have faced a challenge was in PDP, but he left PDP ahead of time to go to the Labour Party, where he didn't meet any challenge in picking the ticket. Now he's going to ADC. If he has to face nomination, let him face it. Ashwaji Bola Tinubu faced a very serious opposition in APC, and when he emerged, that also taught him a lesson.
Okay.
Let him face nomination in ADC. You see, because election in two types. That's what we call a direct election and indirect election. The primary election is an indirect election. Let them play the politics. Those who are going to vote at the primaries, they are human beings. They are delegates in the various states. Let them play the politics. Politics of across the Niger, politics in the desert, politics in the Sahara. Let him go to north and talk to the delegates there. Let him go to Bauchi, go to Jigaba, go to the state. Yes, Umike came here when in 2023, prior to the 2023 general elections, when before the primaries. I remember Yes Umike went to Anambra State and spoke to PDP delegates, and that was why he made statements castigating Obi before in his own hometown. And at the end of the day, those same PDP people voted for him at the primaries because he came second behind Etuka Baka. So let Obi let him also go to Adamawa and speak to ADC candidates there and tell them the reason why they should vote for him in the primaries and not Atiku Abaka. So we can't just continue to sit down and say everything must come on a platter of gold all the time. No, I'm not saying Obi is wishing to get PDP, ADC ticket on a platter of gold. Yes. But there are some battles that will have to be fought, right?
Yes.
So if they are able to get Atiku, because getting Atiku to step down for him is also a battle on its own. So if they're able to get it through that way, fine. And if Atiku says no, like Atiku is saying that everybody will have to go to the nomination ground, let him go and square it up with him on the nomination ground. That's part of politics. And if his ambition is shut down, for me, let him remain there.
All right. One more thing, against the background that we've seen respected Nigerians, mostly of Igbo extraction, such as Nwodo, say that P2B is the surest bet for ADC, going into the election in 2027. But I want to ask, what does Obi's candidacy mean for the Igbos going into 2027 election? Bearing in mind that most governors from eastern Nigeria are now aligning with the Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led APC with the mantra that Igbo land, eastern Nigeria, is being aligned with the center, that we do not need to be in opposition.
Yeah, thank you for this question. You see, how I wish, I look forward to it. I know it may not be easy, but how I wish it would have been easier to have these governors you're talking about now, in a town hall, sit down as our leaders, and those of us who have the opportunity, either as journalists or as media people, interact with them, and we ask them some basic questions. Because number one, I've always believed that our leaders are playing politics without well, how do I want to put it in the most modest form now. I believe that our leaders are making concession without bringing anything in return. Something that is commensurate with what they are giving away. And when I talk about commensurate with what they are giving, I'm not talking of federal government coming to build road here. Oh, the government has agreed to come and build road here. The government has agreed to come and give us another bridge. The government has agreed to come and give us one site when you invest here. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. Oh, the government has agreed to give us another position. That's not what I'm saying. See, sometimes I wonder, these our leaders, are they really thinking in this direction? Number one, Nigeria came into democracy in 1999, right?
Sure.
Since 1999, power understandably rotates between the north and the south. Now, this is the third time power is coming to the south. There are three geopolitical zones in the south. First, power was with the southwest, right? For 8 years. It went back to the north. based on circumstances, it returned to the south. And in returning to the south, it went automatically to the south. Well, maybe not automatic because there was election in 2011, but power went to the south. Now, when power went to the south, what that meant was that 2 geopolitical zones out of the 3 in the south have had a shot at the presidency. Now, when opportunity came again in 2023, the natural thinking would have been that for sake of equity, that the 3rd geopolitical zone in the south. You see, the reason why I'm saying this is because world over, one of the principles that is sustaining democracy now is the principle of inclusion. One of the things that are sustaining democracy now, world over, is the principle of inclusion, carrying everybody along. Even those who are of minority numbers, even minority groups, they are making provision for them. Because those people you say they are minority group, they could be the clog in the wheel of progress. They could be the pen in the neck. So you carry everybody along. But unfortunately for us here in the south, when power came back in 2023, it went back to the southwest, leaving out a major group. This was the point that Uboneon of blessed memory was trying to make on the nomination ground on the APC campaign, on the APC convention ground at Ego Square that night. That is the point he was trying to make. That for the sake of equity, fairness and justice. Now, assuming that probably just passed, 2027 has presented itself again. Our leaders in the southeast who are busy telling us that we have to support the current president, have they bothered to ask, okay, if we support you, what is India for us? What are they getting in return? Building of bridges? Building of roads? Political appointments? Is that what they are getting in turn? Even at the time that everybody in Nigeria agreed that, look, it is the time for the southeast, for Nigeria to produce a president of southeast extraction. Our people here are saying we need to align with the center. Now, if we align with the center, what happens to? That means, because that same center you are talking about, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu finishes his tenure, assuming he gets the second chance in 2027, that takes us to 2031. By 2021, it is only reasonable that the power returns to the north. Nobody will argue that if you raise any issue that and the power should remain in the south here, you are causing trouble. Power goes to the north for another 8 years. That means what you're saying is that before Nigeria will have the opportunity of having a president of southeast extraction will be in 2039. When all of the generation of politicians that are here now would have been old enough, I mean, would have been gotten so old that they may not have the opportunity to come back and contest election. And by the way, let me even tell you, if we can't get it right now, if we can bring something to the negotiation table now to say, okay, for this support we are giving you, what are we discussing? What are we getting? If we can't do it now, what is the guarantee that in 2039 they will not snatch it away again from the southeast? Because if they can do it now, why wouldn't they do it then? And you know, sometimes I ask myself, say, look, you see, do we really realize that we sometimes this is how the other people, across the Niger, people other places see us as? Or what exactly are we pursuing? Personal ambition? Okay, since I can't be it, you too, you can't be it. Is that the case? Because I don't see the reason why somebody will come now to say, let's support at the center. If we support at the center now, what happens? In 2031, power goes to the north. 2031, 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 2031. 20 in 2031. Power goes to the north. And Nigeria is, see, the Southeast right now has a candidate that even people even beyond this country. You may have issues with, see, you may have problems with Peter Obi as a person. That is not my problem. Whether you can like him or not, that is not my problem. But the truth is that today, he is the most popular politician from the Southeast. One candidate today, he won 12 states in Nigeria. Which other politician from the Southeast has been able to break that genes? In 2023, they say you are as good as your last outing. In 2023 general elections, he won 12 states, including the federal capital, including Lagos. Including Lagos. Who can come out and say that British that will be able to achieve that? Even Buhari couldn't win Lagos. I mean, before he became Ashwaju's, ally. So sometimes we ask ourselves, do we really know what we are doing? Is it just a case of personal vendetta, or I don't like this man? Is that the case? My worry is, quite frankly, if we miss it in the personality of Peter Obi, I don't know when we are going to have a character that we can say, is sellable to the rest of Nigerians. The young people have identified with him. Even beyond the country, they have identified with him. Everybody agrees that, look, this candidate is a sell. Nobody has come out to say anything again. Even in 2023, those who didn't like him never said he's not a good presidential candidate. They only said he's a candidate for the future. Which future? The man is already nearing 60. Because my worry is that if we allow this to slip away, in 2039, when the power will return to the South again, the same forces now may end up diverting it either to the South-South or to the Southwest. Now, the question I ask is, or rather the statement I want to make is that our leaders, before they support any candidate, they must have a power sharing formula in the South. Southern Nigeria must have a power sharing formula. Until that is done, until that is down, we sometimes appear like we are shooting ourselves in the leg. And what I mean by a power sharing formula in the South is all the Southern leaders from the South-South, leaders from the Southeast, leaders from the Southwest, they must sit down in a round table to say, look, since we have a formula in this country, an understanding of north-south, north-south, anytime power comes to the South, let's discuss where will you go to, so that all of these ethnic tensions that arise will no longer arise. You saw what happened in 2023. The Yorubas and the Igbos almost, became enemies. But if there were an understanding, so anytime power comes to the north, or power comes to the south, it will go to southeast. Anytime, when it comes back again, it will go to south-south. When it comes again, it will go to the southwest, and that rotation will be there. And everybody will know exactly when it is their turn. And there will be less acrimony. Just like we have in the Enugu state here. Some kind of understanding in the governorship rotation. Now, somebody from Enugu, is it Enugu West, or Enugu East is in the saddle. Between 2019 and 2015 and 2023, it was somebody from Enugu North. And I think that understanding, if you don't have that understanding, because it may, in 2039, people will still come here and with all this and snatch it away again, and we will continue to, I don't know, quite frankly, it bothers me,
I see that you're quite animated about the issue, but finally, before I let you go, just briefly, I want to ask, as against 2027, where we've seen an incumbent who has already done 4 years, do you think if Obi has the chance that the North would entrust him to just do a single term of 4 years, risking 2031 when power should return to the North?
I think Obi himself. You see, we must also in this country give people benefit of doubt and hold them accountable. Right? I'm not going to judge any man based on the offense of his brother or his friend. Yes, we have seen situations where politicians make promises and they don't keep it. If you're a judge in a law court and 10 people are standing trial before you, and 9 have come, pleaded not guilty, but upon trial you find out that they were guilty. When the 10th person comes, you're not going to just pass judgment because the 9 people pleaded not guilty and eventually they will find out that they were guilty. Because of that, you say the 10th person, you are going to pronounce him guilty without giving that person opportunity for fair trial. That would be a miscarriage of justice. Obi said, given the situation and circumstances and the rotational principle that is being operated, that understanding that is ongoing now, that he's going to go for only 4 years. That is his word. If he gets there and eventually doesn't keep that word, right, he's the one that will carry that stigma. Not me. Not you. He's the one that will carry that stigma.
All right. Just finally, before I let you go, I want to ask, since the declaration in Enugu State, speaking about Mr. Peter Obi,
Yes.
his former declaration to join the ADC, we've seen tweets from Bayo Ononuga, Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo, and that of Festus Keyamo is more interesting, where he's alleging the likelihood of Mr. Peter Obi becoming a vice to Atiku Abubakar. In such scenario, do you foresee such scenario occurring? And if it does happen, would you support such move?
Now, to start with, Bayo Ononuga, Peter Obi, Bayo Ononuga and the Honorable Minister of Aviation and all the rest of them, as far as I'm concerned, they are wailing unnecessarily. They are wailing unnecessarily. If they are not bothered that P2B joined the ADC, why are they concerned? Their principal is, according to them, is cruising high. So why are they concerned about what happens in ADC? I think they are being more Catholic than the Pope. Quite frankly, they are drinking Panadol and another person's headache. And if Obi eventually decides to become vice president to Atiku Abubakar, that will be his choice. That will be his choice. And what is wrong in being a vice president? Being a vice president, is it a death sentence? Is it a sign of failure?
All right, that's quite up, and that's where we'll call it a day. We've been speaking to Mr. Emeka Odom, a veteran journalist and development communication strategist, who is equally a public affairs analyst. Mr. Emeka, it's a pleasure getting this in-depth analysis from you this morning. Thank you for coming to this Sunrise.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you also. Please do not forget that you can grab your physical copies from any of your favorite vendor or catch the e-paper online for more broader information. And also do not forget to follow us across our social media handles across Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, X, all at Aneke TV. And thank you also. This is where we draw the curtain on Sunrise and Aneke TV. I am Deborah Wakoba.
And I'm Uche Osai. Remember, you're not here to be average. Be unique. Keep watching Aneke TV. It will come your way same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's tax reform initiative represents the most far-reaching restructuring of Nigeria's fiscal framework in decades. Signed into law on June 26, 2025, the reform is anchored on 4 coordinated legislations designed to simplify taxation, expand the tax base, improve compliance, and align Nigeria's revenue system with global best practices, while deliberately easing the burden on low-income earners and small businesses. At the core of the reform is the Nigeria Tax Act, NTA, which collapses more than a dozen overlapping and sometimes contradictory tax laws into a single unified statute. This consolidation addresses long-standing complaints about complexity, multiple taxation, and regulatory uncertainty, particularly for businesses and investors. Complementing this is the Nigerian Tax Administration Act, NTAA, which standardizes tax administration procedures across federal, state, and local governments. This harmonization is expected to reduce duplication, close leakages, and improve coordination among tax authorities. The Nigeria Revenue Service Act, NRSA, transforms the Federal Inland Revenue Service into the Nigeria Revenue Service, expanding its mandate and operational scope. The charge signals a shift towards a more modern, data-driven revenue authority with stronger enforcement, broader coverage, and improved service delivery. In addition, the Joint Revenue Board Act, JRBA, institutionalizes intergovernmental cooperation on tax matters. The creation of a tax ombudsman under this act introduces a formal dispute resolution mechanism aimed at protecting taxpayers and strengthening confidence in the system. A major highlight of the reform is its explicit pro-poor and pro-small business orientation. Individuals earning 800,000 naira or less annually are now fully exempt from personal income tax, effectively removing millions of low-income Nigerians from the tax net and providing relief amid rising living costs. For small, the exemption threshold for companies' income tax and capital gains tax has been raised from 25 million naira to 100 million naira in annual turnover. This measure is intended to support entrepreneurship, encourage business formalization, and stimulate job creation, particularly within the informal sector. The introduction of a progressive personal income tax structure ranging from 0% to a maximum of 25% reinforces equity by ensuring the higher earners shoulder a greater share of the tax burden. Renters also benefit from a new housing relief, allowing a 20% rent deduction capped at 500,000 naira to reduce taxable income. On the corporate front, the gradual reduction of the company's income tax rate from 30% to 25% by 2026 is aimed at improving Nigeria's competitiveness and attracting investments. The replacement of multiple levies with a single 4% development levy simplifies compliance while ensuring sustained funding for critical national development needs. To align with international tax reforms, particularly the global minimum tax framework, large corporations and multinationals with turnover above 50 billion naira are now subject to a minimum effective tax rate at 15%. This provision is designed to curb aggressive tax avoidance and protect Nigeria's tax base. The agricultural sector receives targeted incentives, including a 5-year income tax exemption for companies engaged in crop production, livestock, and agro-processing, underscoring government's efforts to boost food security, rural employment, and non-oil revenue. Value-added tax reforms remain the most contentious aspect of the initiative. Essential goods and services such as basic food items, healthcare, education, and electricity are now zero-rated, a move aimed at cushioning inflationary pressures on households. However, VAT on non-essential goods will rise gradually from 7.5% to 10% in 2025, with a long-term target of 15% by 2030, signaling a shift towards consumption-based revenue mobilization. The introduction of the derivation principle in VAT sharing, where 60% of state allocations are based on consumption rather than company headquarters, marks a significant policy shift. While it favors states the higher consumption levels, it has sparked resistance from from some northern states concerned about potential revenues losses, highlighting ongoing federal-state fiscal tensions. Taken together, the 2025 tax reforms signal a decisive move toward a simpler, fairer and more transparent tax regime. The framework prioritizes equity, economic growth and fiscal sustainability while addressing long-standing inefficiencies in tax administration. Nonetheless, successful implementation will depend on effective enforcement, stakeholder buy-in and continued dialogue, particularly on VAT distribution to ensure national cohesion and shared prosperity.
morning and many thanks for joining us today on The Insight. I still remain your host, Uche Osai. Remember, The Insight is the program where we bring heartbeats of issues, topical headlines that help in shaping our nation. And this morning, we'll be looking at a very delicate issue. We'll be looking at the future of Ndibo. Is youth leadership the missing link? For centuries, Ndibo have distinguished themselves as a people of enterprise, resilience, intellect, and deep cultural consciousness. From trade to scholarship to innovation and communal development, the Igbo story has remained one of dynamism and enduring relevance within Nigeria and across the global stage. Yet, within the shifting currents of national politics, governance, and increasingly competitive world, profound questions persist. In spite of their undeniable contributions, Ndi Igbo continue to confront enduring challenges, question of political inclusion, internal unity, generational transition, and the quest for sustainable, purposeful leadership. In our contemporary world, leadership itself is undergoing a transformation. Across Africa and beyond, a new generation is emerging. Young men and women stepping boldly into positions of influence, shaping public discourse, driving technological advancement, and redefining governance structures. This development compels a critical reflection within the Igbo nation. Are our youth sufficiently prepared, empowered, and entrusted to assume the responsibilities of leadership? Is the future of Ndibo anchored in the rise of new leadership class, visionary, accountable, and united by a shared sense of purpose? Or does true progress lie in a deliberate synergy between the wisdom of the elders and the innovation, energy, and courage of the youth? On The Insight today, we will examine the future of Ndibo. Is youth leadership the missing link? We will explore the opportunities before us, the challenges that confront us, and the strategic choices that will shape the destiny of generations yet unborn. This is not merely a discussion about power. It's a conversation about identity, responsibility, continuity, and collective destiny. To deliberate on these timely and consequential subjects, we have with us in the studio Umeha Chigozie Samuel, popularly known as the Radio Senator. He is a 300-level law student of Enugu State University of Science and Technology and one of the youngest political analysts of his generation. Mr. Umeha Chigozie, it's a pleasure to have you.
Okay, thank you for having me.
And thank you for coming to The Insight.
Okay, thank you.
So, today, before we begin to talk about other issues, I want to first of all ask you, what does the future of Ndibo truly mean in today's political, economic, and cultural Nigeria?
Okay, thank you for that question. Okay, before I start, I would like to I like anchoring on histories. Yeah, I can remember in early 60s, Michael Okpala made the Eastern region economy to be the fastest growing economy in the world through what? Industrialization and agriculture. But all these infrastructural deficits are dilapidated. Okay, let's talk about the future of Ndibo, as per se. The average Igbo man have the mentality of being marginalized due to the people in the helm of affairs lack the ability to create a level environment for the Igbo's future to thrive. What I mean is that the reason why we have so many agitation for in the East is because of this marginalization. I mean that things are put into place, then Igbo's future will thrive. Okay, let's look at what Michael Okpala did in 60s. You have the likes of premier cashew industry in Ogi, from Akamoyi, for instance, which is one of the highest cashew plantations in West Africa, and the best soil for cashew, according to geologists in the world. You also have the likes of Anamco, Emenite, but we find in today's world that all these industries are dilapidated because the leaders you have in the helm of affairs doesn't have the interests of the Igbos. That's the reason why you see a lot of marginalization, a lot of crime per se in the East. Yeah. The Igbos have a very good future, but the problem is the leadership. The problem of Igbo lies and falls in the leadership.
when you speak of leadership, are you speaking of Igbo leadership or a national leadership that you accuse of marginalizing the Igbos? Well, before we go into that particularly, I want to ask, who is marginalizing the Igbos?
Okay. The Nigeria government per se is marginalizing the Igbos. What I mean by that is that in Nigeria you have 36 states.
All right.
Northeast, North Central, and Northwest have 6 and 7 states.
Okay.
Southwest have 6 states, but Igbos have 5 states. These are the sense of marginalization in Igbo. You say that it takes over 30 years to complete the second Niger bridge, while Lagos have third mainland bridge. Okay, my father was born in 1967. Then they were consulting Enugu Onitsha Expressway. Up to now, they are still consulting Enugu Onitsha Expressway. But you have Lagos to Ibadan. These are the set of marginalization in Igbo. You also discover that ley line have been done in different parts of Nigeria. You have Lagos to Abuja, all those ley line. You have Lagos to Kaduna, all those. But there's no workable ley line in the east. These are the set of marginalization. Yeah, and also Igbos, we are marginalizing ourselves the more. In the sense that our government, they are not living up to the expectation. If you go to Spain now, we have a city called Catalan. Moreover, Madrid is capital of Spain, but Catalan is more developed than Spain. Due to they have sense of belonging. They see that since they are being marginalized, they come together and start developing their place. Dubai, you are hearing today, is not a country, it's a city. It's under UAE, that's United Arab Emirates. These are the set of things that our Southeast government should come together and work towards the growth and development of the Southeast.
All right. So naturally, one may tend to say, when we speak of marginalization of the Igbos, is more of marginalization of Igbos by the Igbos, because when you cite developments across regions, you understand, you talked about Third Mainland Bridge and the Onitsha Bridge, yeah. Then when we look at this, we may, one may be correct to accuse the Igbo leadership of being unable to attract development to the east. Wouldn't you agree?
Okay, coming to that, like we are in federalism, that means power is being shared between the central government and other component units. Yeah, actually, the federal government have a lion share because we are in federalism. I mean that the federal government are giving all it should give to Igbo. We won't be kind of marginalization. Southeast governors per se are not doing well because in 60s when we have Nigeria, the likes of Michael Okpala being the premier of Eastern Legion, he developed the East while he was the premier of Eastern Legion. But the Southeast governors they are selfish centers in the sense that they don't have the interest of the people. Assuming that they have the interest of the people, Southeast would have been developed. Looking back to the history, looking back to the archive, looking back to the what Southeast ought to be, according to the master plan of the Southeast ought to have been developed because Michael Okpala laid a very good foundation for them to emulate, but due to their selfish interests, they neglected the development and the master plan led by the Michael Okpala. For me, if the Southeast governors are living up to the expectation, Southeast would have been developed. You can be kind of referring Southeast part of Catalan and UAE, and which is Dubai, which is in UAE.
All right. A lot of times we want to lay blame on elders, speaking to the so-called leadership of Igbo land. When you look at the political leadership of Igbo land, a number of times we want to lay blame at their doorsteps. But I want to ask you, do you think that the youth themselves are prepared and ready for leadership?
Okay,
I heard you cite Michael Okpala, and when you go into his history, you saw that he's a young man as at those days when he did those exploits. So, against that background, I ask you, do you think that the Igbo youths are ready for leadership?
Okay, answering that question, I would say yes and no.
Okay.
Because I have my reasons and observations concerning that. Igbo youth, we are not quite ready. And also, we are ready at the same place.
Okay.
Saying we are not quite ready is that the mentality, the ideology have changed. Unlike before, the Igbo have the mindset of Oyagala one day, but that mindset have changed. In the sense that in today Igbo contemporary or you be hearing such ideology like money and water. You be hearing such ideology that if I didn't get it, I would die or something like that. These are the ideologies that we are not yet ready. Because that person that is shouting money in our water is, if you give him a leadership position, he will end up looting public fund, because that ideology have changed. And you can, if you trace it back to 60s, you can see that all the people that achieved great things were youth. Last of Michael Okpala were youth when he became the Premier of Eastern Region. Nanda Zikiwe, I think he was 27 when he started fighting for freedom of Nigeria. The last of Chukwu Makadina and Zogo, Agi Ilosi were youth when they are military head of the state. But with this current youth, the ideology have changed. The ideology now is money. Everything is money. And for Makomoye, for instance, the last time I went back to my village, I shed tears, because the high rate of in which the youth indulge in cybercrime is very much. And any person that is involved in cybercrime, you can't give he or she a leadership position to handle, because at the end of the day, he is criminally inclined and he cannot lead people very well. By me saying that, you will see that Igbo's youth are half prepared and also not half prepared. Yes.
Okay. All right. I may want to probe these issues, but before we get back to that again, I want to look at politically. This is 2026, and I'm beginning to speak to 2027 general election. And I want to ask, since we are talking about the Igbos, do you think that the Igbos are currently preparing intentionally for 2027 general election?
Yes. Prior to 2023, no one disputes Obi to be a federal figure, but he's cleared the doubt by putting over 5 million votes. Yes, in his first contest for presidential seat of Nigeria. Yes. It's a good start. It's a good bargain. Okay. Assuming that Igbos really want to clinch the seat of Nigeria, they can do that, because Igbos are most populated. If you go to different parts of Nigeria, after counting the indigenous people, the next population is Igbos. And before now, we have shown interest that we like politics, but we don't know how to do the politics. That's our problem. Okay. Politics is a game of number. According to Halab, last week in the year 1936, he defined politics as who gets what, when, and how. It's simply a game of interest. We don't know how to rob it. We don't know how to find our interest. I mean that Igbos know how to find the interest in politics, we have become the president of Nigeria, but that interest, that ideology in politics, we don't have it. Okay. But a person like Peter Obi is moving towards that direction, because for your first contest, you put over 5 million votes. It's a good start. Coming to the 2027 election, I think Peter Obi have all it takes. But in that, you know that he recently joined ADC, yes, in which there will be kind of contradictory features towards acquiring that ambition, because his former boss, that's Atiku Abubakar, is in the same party. All of them is eyeing the presidential seat by 2027. Okay, him actualizing that means that you have to lobby with Atiku. Maybe let me say, okay, sir, I'll only go for one tenure. Since the power is returned is in the people of South, so I will only go for one tenure. And after finishing 4 years, then by 2031, we will not be the president of Nigeria. These are the interests that can be brought on the table. And Peter will have all it takes, because he will tell you, go and verify. He's competent enough. When he was the governor of Anambra State, you can see that he actually provided dividends of democracy to the people. And he did his best as one of the best performing governors in Nigeria then. Okay. Because the track levels are there.
All right. What you're saying in essence that Peter Obi, symbolizes the leadership that the Igbo youth should emulate. Yes. But I want to ask you, the Peter Obi that we'll talk about, do you think that he carries the Igbo youth along, in his decision-making process, and he stands that single opportunity to entrust Igbo youth into leadership?
Okay. Yes, Peter Obi, as per se, have the interest of the youth, because towards 2023 general election, some of his PA, some of his colleagues, ally, they were youth. The likes of Jack, the one that initiated Take Back Nigeria, was a youth at his 30s. Utokwe, that's Anambra first governor. All of them are likes of youth. And they are kind of doing that, and they have many ambition towards achieving that. Meaning that he has the interest of the youth, because over 50% of his people is working with are youth, meaning that he has the interest of the youth, and the youth of the country can emulate him to actualize that purpose of changing their mentality and their ideology of not too young to learn. Now it's not too young to learn policy, and for Igbos to thrive and for the youth in the Southeast to thrive.
All right. Let's trace back a bit, because when you started, you mentioned the likes of Michael Obara, who are youths and who thrived, during their era. And I want to ask you, from your study of history, where do you think that things started to go wrong in Igbo land, especially for the youths, given against the background that the Igbo youths that we speak of thrive outside this nation, and in this country we are known for enterprise, we do well in business, we do well in academics, but when it comes to politics and leadership, the youths tend to lag behind. So I ask, where do you think historically that the problem started from?
Okay, the problem started for after the war, from 1967 to 1970. Everything about Igbo ideology changed because we literally survived the war. Then, after the war, some people, every woman we are giving about so many pounds. That's where the problem started. The ideology and the mindset changed. Ever since then, everyone wants to kind of be on the limelight. Everyone wants to make it. That's the ideology and the mentality now. And since then, no Igbo youth you can tell me that they are thriving in terms of politics. Ever since the exhaustion of the war, no Igbo youth have been thriving in corridors of affairs in terms of federal politics. These are the effects of the war. The mindset has changed. Then, let me kind of anchor it to what is happening now. There is a very talented young man in Nigeria called Nnamdi Kanu. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's doing well, but the problem now is the narrative in which he's actualizing that. Yeah. His clamor is that Igbos have been marginalized. That is the quest for Biafra, per se. Assuming that Southeast are not being marginalized, he won't involve in declaring freedom or agitating for freedom. That's the argument. And some of Igbo youths are following his footsteps, which is actually good. They're waiting for him. But the problem is that the way he's doing it, that manner of approach is very long. The use of violence or all those things is very long. That's where we started getting it long. I mean that they are doing it through what I call political solution. It would have been better. But using violence and all those things to actualize that's when the impetus and problem comes in. Yeah.
All right. Now that we're talking about the civil war that ended as far back as 1970, and we've seen the reconstruction, and against that background, we've seen Igbo men who have done exceptionally well in Nigeria. To mention a few, we've seen, for example, a Kuskari that has thrived in Nigeria. We've seen the likes of Atoeze, just to mention a few, who have thrived. The Igbos have continued to thrive. Like we did mention in businesses, you've seen Igbos. If you go to financial industry, for example, one may want to, look at the Igbo individuals who are excelling in the financial sector as well. And you go to academics, we have lots of them that are being celebrated both in Nigeria and beyond. You understand? And I ask, we tend to cite marginalization, but the war long ended, and I've cited individuals who were successful, even in business, even in academics and all that, who do well. But when it comes to the issue of leadership and politics, that's where you don't find the youths. And I may want to argue that it may not really be a question of marginalization, but perhaps lack of interest in being submissive enough to learn from the elders.
Okay, coming to that, I will say that marginalization is still pretty low. And the sense that since after independence, since 1960 up to now, we have never had an Igbo president, as per se.
But Uma, you agree with me that power will never be given on bended knees.
Yes.
You have to work for it.
Yes.
And part of the argument, if I want to move away, that yes, the Igbos talk about marginalization since after the Civil War, but we've been successful in all things. We've rebuilt Igbo land by ourselves. Go through Abia State, Enugu State, Anambra, Imo. You see mansions that were not there, before and after the Civil War. We've done well for ourselves. And our major challenge has to do in the area of leadership. And if I want to throw a different line, let me throw it at you, that perhaps what we'll look at is a question of Igbo disunity, not giving us the opportunity to attain leadership in Nigeria. You cited P2B, for example. One would say that not all Igbos aligned to his dreams and wish. If all Igbos perhaps had backed him, let's say in the PDP, for example, perhaps today we may be seeing a P2B presidency. So I ask, you do not think that it's merely a question of lack of Igbo unity that is causing the challenge in youth taking over?
Okay, in answering that, you that lack of unity per se also contributes towards the problem of not actualizing the Igbo presidency, actualizing a very reasonable seat at the helm of affairs. And also that marginalization is still pretty low. In the sense that we are kind of the war, after the war, they were declared no victor, don't one wish. Okay. But an average Fulani man, an average Hausa man will never allow a Igbo man to lose. He still has that mentality that if he give him power, he might end up.
But Mr. Chilozi, yes. This we are defining you. Power is never given. You understand?
But you lobby for that.
You have to lobby,
yes.
You have to campaign, you understand, diplomatically and engage across. That's why we speak of the handshake across the Niger. You have to engage people, bring people together to support you. You have to let people buy into your vision. Nobody would give you power for the sake of giving power.
Okay, nobody will give you power for the sake of giving power. Let's take it back to 1999.
Okay.
When Nigeria returned to democracy. Olusegun Obasanjo won the president of Nigeria then, and it wasn't, let me say, his sentiment and emotional on what they did to Mushiru Abiola in 1993. By virtue of that, he will say that to a greater extent, power was given to him. Because that politics of sentiment and emotion came to play in that 1999. Because Alex Okweme formed PDP.
Okay.
But Obasanjo became the first presidential candidate and first president of Nigeria with PDP platform. He said that power was given to him because of that sentiment, because of that emotion. Okay, power, I know power is one of the notable Nigerian politicians once said that power is never a la carte. You fight for it.
Sure.
Take it. Yes, power is never given, but you can lobby, and sometimes sentiment and emotion plays a role. Assuming that the average Hausa man and average Fulani man likes the Igbos, Igbos would have been the president of Nigeria before now. But that ideology never changed. That mentality never changed. It still play a role because they say that okay, if I give him power, maybe he might wake up tomorrow declaring Biafra or something like that. It has never left them. Just like recently last week, Sheikh Gumi started citing that Israeli coming to Nigeria to help the Christian wars, it will actualize Biafra or something like that. These are the mentality of them. Yeah.
We may not generalize. Gumi is an individual. You understand. But let's go a little bit further. Now that we have stepped into 1999, Nigeria's at 1999 was a political solution that Nigeria sought. Nigeria sought a political solution to the issue around MK Abiola, the annulment, and all that. But even at that, being that it was a democracy, Obasanjo went into primaries with the likes of Ekweme. We know Ekweme lost at that very primary. But against that background, one may want to say, moving from 1999 to date, right? One may want to see where the Igbo try to convince other Nigerians that it is their time, that it is their turn, which P2B, like you did mention, represents. But speaking to that unity, one would equally say, like the case of Ekweme, not all Igbos are aligned to his dream, which is the accusation from when you go to the north or the southwest, for example. They talk about lack of Igbo unity to realize that leadership.
Okay, I will agree with you to an extent, because that lack of unity still play a role. In the sense that I think it was in that 1999, Umunneono literally cried in primaries that it is son of Igbos. Yeah.
In 2023?
No, prior to before 2023, he once said that.
Yes.
That is son of Igbos, that Igbos should give him the chance to become the president of Nigeria. The likes of Odio Zakalo did the same in presidential hotel sometime 7, 8, 9 years ago. He also lamented that it is son of Igbos should come together, but that disunity still plays a role. Okay, prior to 2023 general election, before then, there was PDP primaries, and P2B was a aspirant under PDP. Igbo people or Igbo delegates from PDP would have supported him.
Okay.
But due to lack of that disunity and everything, just a weekend manipulated them by even coming to Anambra to disgrace P2B in his state by inciting so many things that P2B is never a competent candidate for the post.
Was that politics for you?
Yes. And the people of Southeast buys the idea. I hear someone saying that it's very opposite that praise politics in Igbo land. They are good politicians. Because prior to 2023 election, in PDP, I think Ebonyi State vote also went for their candidate in PDP. In APC, the same, David Umahi contested for presidency. He actually accumulated the whole vote coming from Ebonyi State. But out of the 4 states, Anambra, Enugu, Imo, Abia, where are your votes? That's lack of disunity. That's the reason why I say that you don't have the mental ideology, the political way to do that.
All right. Yeah. Okay. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll continue to probe these issues.
A sị na ekwe kụọ ama agba, ekwe ụmụ nwaanyị akụọla o. Ọkwa na nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị oge anyị ji akpa maka ọdịmma anyị karịkwa maka ọdịmma ezinụlọ. Nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị bụ ebe anyị na-akpa maka arụ ike anyị, ndọrọ ndọrọ ọchịchị, azụmahịa, omenala ndị ahụ dị mma, nakwa ihe ndị ahụ ga-eweta ọganihu n'obodo. Naanị ihe ị ga-eme bụ sonyela anyị na nzukọ ụmụ nwaanyị ebe ahụ a na-akarị ihe na-eweta ọganihu n'obodo. Ndị nne, ndị nna, oge a bụkwa nke anyị. Sonyela anyị na Aneke TV n'ebe a na-emetụ aka na ihe ndị oyibo na-akpọ social media na TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram. Ọkwa na Aneke TV ka ihe ndị a niile na-eme. Aneke TV, anyị apụọnụ.
Right, thank you for staying with us on the Insights, and we've been probing issues around the future of Ndibo. Is youth leadership the missing link? And we've been discussing with a man known as the radio senator, Umaha. It's an opportunity to have you, and it's been an interesting discussion.
Okay, thank you once again.
Yes. Okay, now that we've been talking about leadership, the Igbo youths and others, I want to get what you propose.
Okay. Since after the war, there have never been a town hall in Igbo land. These are one of the issues we have.
Sorry, when you talk about town hall, what kind of town hall do you mean?
What I mean is,
I know that Aneke, for example, has been holding town halls across Igbo land.
There have never been a town hall that houses both the airite, technocrat in different field, captains of industries. Yeah. These are the issues we are facing. I mean that there has been a town hall, all these issues would have been resolved. Having a town hall will go a long way, in which the governors, House of Rep members, senators, political elites will come together with the masses to deliberate on Igbo issues on how to actualize that Igbo presidency, because that mentality of being marginalized is the reason why we still have that mentality of being marginalized, is that Igbo person have never actualized the office of the presidency. I mean that he once read in history that Igbo man was once a president of Nigeria. All this marginalization will not be the talk of the town. Making a town hall and doing a town hall, we go a long way to discuss matters and deliberate on issues facing the Igbos towards actualizing that process, and also youth inclusiveness in politics in Southeast.
Okay. All right. Looking at the town hall that you canvass for, you're of the view that all Igbos should rally around one candidate. That would be a very big risk to take.
Okay. Someone once said that the worst thing you can do is to throw in all your mangoes in one basket. I will say yes. I will also say no.
Okay.
Because prior to 2023, former president of Nigeria of the blessed memory, that's President Muhammadu Buhari, once run for presidential seat using AMPP. Each time he goes out for this position, he pull over 5 million votes. It's a good bargain. And these are interests. These are what political parties are looking at. Can you galvanize your people? Can you accumulate the total number of votes in your region? Before now, they didn't agree for him to be a vice to P2B prior to 2028 general election. But he's now kind of tabling that, because he has seen that P2B has the vote of the Southeast. These are the interests. But once that vote is being shared, or something like that, it cannot actualize that. That interest, that way, will not come in. Okay, saying no to that is that politics is a game of interest. I think that you once sponsored for that candidate and he ran for the election, eventually he lost. What will be your state? What will be your factor? Because the person that you didn't sponsor or you didn't vote for will not kind of work towards your election, will not work towards your interest, because you literally hated him by not voting for him. These are the kind of answers to it.
Alright. Now that we are talking about political bargain, and P2B's over 5 million votes, over 6 million votes actually, he would say is a bargain. He has the political bargain right now. So I want to get your views to P2B's former declaration to joining ADC.
Okay. It's a good bargain and it's a good start for him.
Okay.
Before 2015 general election, there was no APC. What you have is AD, other political parties. They came in and formed what we now call APC, which is interest of different political parties.
Yes.
And it can be titled it as a merger. There was a merger in it. Okay, ADC now is a hot cake, in the sense that many political elites are in ADC. The likes of Atiku Abubakar, Rotimi Amechi, P2B, and the rest are in ADC. I will call them the big fish in Nigeria politics. Okay. It's a good bargain, in the sense that he joined ADC for an interest, so that he will actualize that presidency. But him actualizing that, it means that he has to kind of have some terms and conditions to actualize it. Just like I said before, that him actualizing that he can meet his boss. You are my boss. Okay, why not support me? Let me go for 2027. By 2031, I will step back for you. You will not become the president of that. Because that time, power will now return to the north. Because Tinubu will complete his term by 2027. Then giving power to another Southerner means that he will also complete the term of Tinubu or something like that. That's when that interest comes in.
Alright. So, but in all, do you see P2B, having a chance this time around? Now that he's, going to, if he eventually secures the ticket of ADC, do you see him making inroads in the north and possibly defeating Ebola Ahmed Tinubu?
Yes, I see P2B doing that, because right now the Northerners are not happy with Tinubu.
Okay.
Since Tinubu came into power, you have never heard Kashim Yetima said this or that. It has been one man affair, which is Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Just like what happened to Yemi Osinbajo in terms of Buhari second term from 2019 to 2023. All of before now, Osinbajo was a hot cake, was a man talking, doing all manner of things. But Kashi Shettima is being sidelined by Bola Ahmed Tinubu in that particular respect. And the Northerners are not happy that, see, you use their brothers are not actualizing their interests. Since politics is all about interest, it's about going to the north, presenting your interests and manifesto to them, and then buying it. If person like Atiku Abubakar can rally alarm P2B, you actualize that. Because Atiku alone can give you over 5 million votes in north. He did that in last election. Even repeated that in 2023. He's a political big fish in the north. Then, Kwakwase coming in, mean that the vote for Kano State is being secured.
If he does come in.
Yes, if he does come in. These are the interests. If all these people can rally around you and project you, man, 2027 is going to be a hot cake and it's going to be a clearly contested election if people eventually emerge with all these interests coming in.
Okay. And let's perchance assume that happens and a P2B succeeds, right? Where would that be? What would that mean for the Igbo youths?
It means a lot because they have seen a mentor in P2B and now a president of Nigeria. That sense of marginalization will reduce. That ideology of that we are neglected will reduce because since your person is in terms of affairs, the mentality and ideology will reduce, and it also give the Southeasterners use to thrive because since you are the kind of your person is in the helm of affairs, just like a businessman, an Igbo businessman doing importation. Once he came come across to customs and all those things, he said, okay, it's my brother that is in power. That's P2B. That's when interest coming. That some of them will be thriving in their businesses. Some of them will be doing well, and P2B as he is a half passion for the youth. It can also give a way for Southeasterners youth to thrive in politics. Yes.
Right. Let's just step a bit away from the issue around politics.
Okay.
You know, but it still all had to do with politics, right? I'm looking at a very big issue with the Igbos and Eastern Nigeria in particular, and that is speaking to apathy, political apathy. You know, recently, as last year, there was this sensitization about INEC voter registration exercise, and when you tally the numbers coming from Eastern Nigeria as to compare to other regions in Nigeria, the Southeast is nothing to write home about. Where, for example, in Osun State, we are having over 200 and something registrars in Osun State, and when you get to Enugu State, for instance, the number initially wasn't beyond 3,000, and it's usually always like that. Now, take a cue from the recent off-cycle election that was conducted in Anambra State, where there was equally voter apathy, low turnout, and that has always been the case with the Easterners, and especially the youths of Easterners are known not to participate in elections. What do you say to that?
Okay, the secessionist group in East are not doing not a good favor. In the sense that before 2005, when the last census was conducted, you hear the likes of Wazirike saying that you should not come, you should not partake in census per se, that we are not part of the Nigeria, that we should differentiate ourselves from Nigeria. The last of Aneke also said that we should not vote, should not partake in politics, we are not part of Nigeria. And some of these youth find interest in listening to them. They look up to them. What they say is what they believe. These are the interests, and these are the mindset, and these are the ideology that we are finding ourselves in. Assuming that the person like Aneke is saying that, okay, go out and vote, that this is our own or something like that, let's support him. Per se, that if he eventually emerge, all this marginalization will stop. Easterners will be developed.
Okay.
These are some of the things we are facing and some of the issues we are facing, because I mean that all these socialist groups are helping matters. Low turnout will not be the main thing in Eastern politics, but declaring that voting is very long in the East, that you are not part of Nigeria, is a big problem because some of these youth look up to them. That has been the problem in the East.
Okay, all right. We're still talking about the Igbo youths, and yes, though you seem quite eager, to take over, leadership in Igbo land, you're quite agitated about the issue around leadership, youth leadership in Igbo land, and I want to go back to the same where we started, right? For you, it seems that the issue of around the Igbos not being able to be the president of Nigeria, right, is the key factor to say that the Igbos are marginalized in Nigeria, and that if eventually an Igbo man becomes a president, then it seems to solve all issues around the marginalization of the Igbos.
Yes, because an Igbo man being the president will give Eastern a sense of belonging.
Okay.
That you're part of Nigeria. Okay. Because maybe eventually I got married and I kind of have a bouncy baby boy or something like that, and while growing up, he will be reading Nigerian history. He will only find Nnamdi Azikiwe as the ceremonial president of Nigeria throughout the list. He won't find that. He said that, okay, Dad, why am I not seeing an Igbo name in this? This is a sense of belonging we are talking about. An Igbo man, imagine, we give the Eastern a sense of belonging, that we are part of Nigeria. Maybe after the war, that these people find us worthy to be the president of Nigeria. It means that we are part of Nigeria. All this marginalization of a team will reduce to be less minimum.
Right. Now, let's look at another angle. Why is it that we do well in business? In Lagos, the Igbos are thriving. When you go outside the country, the Igbos are thriving as well. But when we come, like I did ask you before, when it comes to issue of leadership, it seems that the Igbo youths are not ready, and for a number of reasons as well. One may not say there's lack of mentors, because you've cited P2B, for example, and I know that there are other worthy examples, like you talk about the governor of Abia State, for example, as well. So I am disturbed that perhaps it's not for lack of mentors, but because the Igbo youth of today are not prepared to take over leadership.
Okay, let me start with we don't have the way in terms of politics and leadership. Assuming that we have the way, what happened in 2023 towards the election of PDP and APC wouldn't have happened, because you have delegates that came from different parts of the southeast and we went for PDP and APC convention. Even some of them we are even youth, but due to that lack of political way, they brought them over. Some of them voted to the likes of Yeson Wike in PDP. In APC, some of them vote for their preferred candidates. These are some of the issues we are saying. And what you gave reason that Igbos are kind of good in business and they develop Lagos State. Yeah, these are when I comment that is a call for Akuruno. These are, if you develop the East and remain in the East and make East a vibrant place, the others we know that you are very serious in what you are doing. On or before now, Catalan is being neglected in Spain. But after all this town hall meeting, they get together and say that, okay, since these people are neglecting us, why not come together and develop our own? Since then, if you mention Spain, you mention Catalan. Dubai, for instance, is never a country, it's a city, UAE. But development made them what they are now. I think that all these Igbo elites, technocrats, captains of industries come together and say, okay, let's move down to East, let's go and develop the East. Then the Northerners will take you serious. But you are kind of building structures, you are developing other part of Nigeria, you are developing other areas, neglecting the East. East, for instance, need to have or something like called seaport, because most Igbos engage in business and many of them do import. Having a seaport, we also see they make the Northerners to take you serious. Okay. These are some of interest. Okay, we have about over 4 airports in Nigeria, in the East per se. For me, there is no need of having such humongous amount of airports. Why not have one which is standard? and having a rail line that will connect to different parts of the east. These are how a state or a region is being developed. I mean that the east is being developed like this is like likes of Catalan, the likes of Dubai. The Northerners and the Nigeria people will take you serious because they said that okay, since this man can develop his place and maybe forget about leadership and he's developed this, they can now say okay, come and lobby and take power because you can, since you are bringing development, but since you are doing it in other places, they are not taking us serious because in so many news you have heard that there have been a lot of Igbo businesses being demolished. But if it was built in the southeast, you cannot tell me that a Northerner will come to the east and demolish the Igbo structure or the Igbo businesses. Yeah.
Now, away from all this, let me look at Umaha Chigozie Samuel, the radio senator. Yes. What is the plan beyond reading law at ACT?
Okay, I so much like leadership. I so much like politics. I call myself a passionate politician. Okay. Let me say, politics is my calling or something like that. Okay. I have an alignment in politics. Okay, I have looked in Nigeria politics that the reason why so many politicians see politics as a do or die affair is that some of them don't have anything doing. Maybe once they out of power, once they loses an election, what would they fall out to? That's the essence of leading law. Because I see that most lawyers thrive in politics. Maybe once you lose the election, you will go back to your legal profession. Okay. That's what prompted me in leading law. Okay. And leading law give me an onus, give me an advantage over others because a lawyer is regarded as learned, meaning that you know everything, you know of everything in all spheres of life, in all ramifications. That's what gave me advantage or what gave me an interest in studying law.
Okay. Then I want to ask, the interest in studying law is to be well positioned, for later play. But I want to ask, what is your political leaning? Coming into the future, when I talk about political leaning this time around, I mean, what ideology really pushes you to go into politics? Is it the agitation to liberate the Igbo nation, or generally you want to change the trajectory of the nation that is driving you?
Okay, while growing up, I'm a student of history. I never studied history in school because history was incorporated in Nigerian curriculum of education. But I somewhat listening to radio made me to know a little bit of history. While growing up, the likes of Nagazi Kiwe, the likes of Michael Okpala motivated me a lot because I see what they do in their young age. I see what they actualize. Coming to that, I see myself that I'm a kind of a good politician that will change the status quo because the trajectory in the east have become so bad in the sense that some people are not interested in politics. Like, let's leave it for the elite, let's leave it for them. But as a man that loves politics, as a man that has interest in politics, I'm ambitious in the sense that like I'm some of, like, let me use the word Moses of Israelites, something like that. I am coming to change the status quo.
Okay.
To change the narrative of Eastern politics and Nigeria beyond, because Nigeria people relies on foreign leadership.
Okay. But presently, let me ask: are you obedient, or you're in APC or the PDP? Which one?
Okay, prior to 2023 election, I became obedient because I love the interest, I love the manifesto, okay. I love the political way of P2OB. Okay. That made me to be obedient, and I see him as we have similar alignment towards politics. Then, like any place that P2OB stems in, we see media.
All right, and that's it for the Insight today. And if case you just joined us, we've been speaking with Umaha Chigozie Samuel, who is popularly known as the Radio Senator. He's a 300 level law student of Enugu State University of Science and Technology. It's been a pleasure discussing with you on the Insight.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and do remember that on the Insight, your views matter. Let us know what you think about these issues. Reach us with the hashtag The Insight, all at Aneke TV, on our handle, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Till come your way same time tomorrow. I still remain your host, Uche Osai. Bye-bye.
Phones has become part of everyday life, from work and school to businesses and socializing. But what if you had to go a whole week without yours? We hit the streets to find out what Nigerians think.
No, I can't even stay 2 minutes without my phone. If you remove God, now my phone. At times, if I plug my phone inside my parlor and then inside my room, once my phone is ringing, because my phone is always on silent, it will be touching me. The once I come out, I see somebody is calling me.
How can I stay without my phone? Like, it keeps me busy and all that. I stay alone, so there's no way I can just be staying without pressing my phone or anything.
No, because I will die. I might die. I will fall sick. Like a lot of things. I lost a lot of money.
No, I can't. I can't. It's like my phone is like my best friend. Like, I'm like, I can't. I just can't stay without my phone.
Nga ya nọ na ekwentị m ihe ha ka otu izu ma izu abụọ maka na ọ bụrụ na m eji ekwentị m ma ọ na ekwentị m na o furu ma ọ bụ na o nwere ebe nchefuru ekwentị m n'otu izu ụka ọ ga-adị ka a ga-asị na nnukwu ihe hunahara m maka na ekwentị apụtago nke mere na oge m na-agụ sekọndịrị ọ leta ka eji akwụkwọ ozi ka a na-akpọ leta ịchọ ka gị na nwanne gị ma ịchọ ka gị na mmadụ kpakọ iwere akwụkwọ ozi wee zigara onye ahụ mana ugbu a enwezi ihe dị ka akwụkwọ ozi nke a na-akpọ leta ya nwa kpataziri ekwentị pụta nke a kpọrọ foonu mezie onye ọbụla foonu ya dafuru ma ọ bụ foonu ya hunara ya ọ dị ka a ga-asị na mmadụ nwụnahara ya maka na ịchọ ịjụta ese onye nke gị ọ bụ ekwentị a ka ị ga-eji jụta ese ọ bụkwanụ na ekwentị ahụ adịghị ọ na-enye nsogbu n'ihi ya ọ bụrụ na ekwentị bụ ndụ m mana ekwentị na-enye aka na ndụ anyị na-ebi kịta.
No, because it's most importantly to me because I use it for my assignments, projects, and for reading. It helps me a lot.
From students to business owners, opinions varies. Some say it is impossible, while others say it is a challenge worth trying. One thing is clear, phones are more than just gadgets. They are essential tools for daily life. I am Chinaza Ifeanyi, Aneke.
Welcome to news across the country on Aneke TV. I'm Deborah Wakaba. Glad to have you join us. And now moving over to the headlines. River State House of Assembly initiates impeachment proceedings against Governor Fubara. UN calls on Nigeria to protect schools and civilians. 4 dead in Nasarawa as health workers enter isolation. Oyo State Police raise alarm over rising drowning incidents. And now to the details of the news. The River State House of Assembly has begun impeachment proceedings against Governor Similai Fubara and his deputy Ngozi Odu over allegations of gross misconduct. The notice read during Thursday's plenary by Majority Leader Jack cited 7 points of misconduct against the governor, including the demolition of the assembly complex, extra budgetary spending, and refusal to comply with Supreme Court directives on assembly financial autonomy. 26 lawmakers signed the notice. Speaker Martins Amehule confirmed the governor would be formally served within 7 days. Meanwhile, Deputy Leader Linda Stewart presented separate allegations against Deputy Governor Odu. These include unconstitutional spending, obstruction of the House's constitutional duties, and allowing unauthorized occupation of offices without proper assembly approval. The notices alleged both officials withheld salaries and allowances due the Assembly and Assembly Services Commission. The House emphasized that all actions are grounded in Section 188 of the Nigerian Constitution. No response has yet come from the Governor's office or Deputy Governor. The United Nations has urged the Nigerian government to strengthen protection for civilians and schools after recent attacks in Niger, Kwara and Odo State. UN President Coordinator Mohammed Fall condemned the January 3rd market attack in Kasuwandaji, which killed over 30 people and triggered new displacement. Fall warned that persistent attacks on schools threaten long-term educational efforts and community stability. The UN highlighted last year's abduction of 300 students from St. Mary's Catholic School in Ogwara as a warning of the ongoing risk to learning environment. Fall stressed that Nigeria must implement the Safe School Declaration, turning international commitments into tangible security measures. The UN also demanded the immediate release of all kidnapping victims and that perpetrators face justice. The agency reaffirmed its readiness to assist federal and state authorities in building stronger protection mechanisms to safeguard students, teachers, and communities from further violence. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has suspended his aide, Saidu Enagi, over an unauthorized article titled Malagi 2027. The publication speculated on political developments ahead of the Niger State governorship election and was labeled misleading by the ministry. Idris stressed that the article does not reflect his views and he remains focused on his federal duties. The ministry confirmed that an investigation has begun into how the article was published without the minister's consent. The aide has been formally suspended effectively immediately to prevent further distractions from official responsibilities. The ministry also addressed rumors of a rift between Idris and Niger State Governor Mohammed Umar Bago, describing the relationship as positive. Idris reiterated his commitment to supporting President Tinubu's administration and ensuring harmony with his home state leadership. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has warned politicians against attempts to undermine its operations through sponsored media attacks. The agency revealed a coordinated campaign to discredit EFCC Chairman Ola Olukoyede by spreading false claims of political bias, particularly ahead of the 2027 general elections. EFCC spokesperson Dele Oyewale emphasized that the commission will not be pressured into halting investigations. Several high-profile individuals from both ruling and opposition parties remain under active scrutiny, and the agency insists its operations remain non-partisan. While uploading the presumption of innocence, the EFCC stated that attempts to distract it are being closely monitored. The commission reaffirmed its commitment to public accountability and warned that political exposed person cannot evade investigation. A suspected Lassa fever outbreak in our local government area of Nasarawa State has claimed 4 lives, including 2 pregnant women. Our general hospital has been closed for fumigation while medical staff, including the medical superintendent, have been placed in isolation. Ahmad Yahuza Abdullahi, disease surveillance officer, reported that the outbreak began with the deaths of a married couple followed by 2 pregnant patients. 6 suspected cases reportedly escaped from transport or isolation, raising fears of wider transmission. The State Ministry of Health confirmed 1 death but warned that lab delays often prevent timely intervention. Health workers are requesting motorcycles for surveillance and protective equipment while authorities continue fumigation and tracking of escaped patients to certain outbreaks. The Nigerian Labour Congress has criticized the federal government's new tax laws as regressive, claiming they unfairly burden low-income workers. NLC President Comrade Joe Ajero said workers were excluded from the reform process, which threatens the national minimum wage and deepens poverty. Senator Adams Oshomole countered the NLC, urging the union to actively engage the government instead of issuing public complaints. Lagos APC defended the reforms, arguing they modernize Nigeria's tax system and ensure corporations pay their fair share while protecting vulnerable groups. Confusion has arisen from different versions of gazetted Nigerian Tax Administration Act, prompting warnings from the Chartered Institute of Taxation. The body clarified that bank balances are not taxed, only transfers above 10,000 naira incur a 50 naira stamp duty, while salaries and essential goods remain exempt. Governor Alex Oti of Abia State has inspected the Umahia Central Bus Terminal, a flagship project designed to consolidate transport, shopping and hospitality services in one hub. The terminal is modeled after global standards to replace scattered motor parks and improve commuter experience. Governor Oti confirmed substantial completion is expected by the end of January, with contractors allowed extra time for quality assurance. Plans include a shopping plaza, cinema and hotel, turning the terminal into a commercial engine for the state. During the inspection, the governor also reviewed ongoing road projects, including the Aneke-Okuta Bende Road. They are here engaged residents and users of the new Abia electric buses, reiterating his administration's commitment to durable infrastructure and improved transportation services. Governor Basi Otu of Cross River State has inaugurated 196 rural development officers under the federal government's Renewed Hope Ward Development Program. The officers are tasked with ensuring developmental initiatives reach local communities and serve as the administration's direct link to citizens. The governor emphasized that the officers will monitor infrastructure and social welfare projects while maintaining peace in the wards to create a stable environment for development. They were instructed to replicate state-level progress at the grassroots. Represented by Program Coordinator Dr. Prince Michael Nkwabo, Otu reminded the officers of their responsibility to deliver tangible results. The initiative aims to promote social and economic transformation across all 18 local government areas of the state. News across the country comes to you live from Aneke TV. Remember, you can stay connected with us across all our social media platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Now here's a quick recap of the major stories making the news. Rivers Assembly begins impeachment proceedings against Governor Fubara. UN urges Nigeria to protect schools and civilians after market attack. 4 dead in Nasarawa as health workers go into isolation. And coming up shortly, Oyo police raise alarm over surge in drowning incidents. We'll be right back.
Aneke television. Heu agirbo mu di egwu nkwa azụghị n'ahịa mgbochi ogwugwu kakwa ogwugwu ema. Heu mba ụwa bịa na ihe ebube eme. Mgbagbu ụwa gbatawa na ihe ebube emewa. Aneke television na-emere ogbenye mere amadi ihe. Ị na-agba nkwụ, ị na-eme nkepụta nwa, ị na-akwa ozu, ị na-agba akwụkwọ. Bịawa na Aneke television, bịa ka ezuoru gị ozi ọma. Bịawa na Aneke television yidume. Heu na-emere ogbenye mere amadi ihe. Ụmụ Igbo bịawo na nke a bụ nke anyị. Ị mara ebe oge ọrụ etiwo mọnwụ ntakịrị tụkwa mọnwụ si nne. Ya mere ha ji wee weta Aneke television. Ọ bụ onye mgbagburu ahụ nna. Ọ dị na soshal midia. Ọ dị na mgbagbu. Ọ dị n'Enugu steeti.
The Oyo State Police Command has issued an urgent public safety alert after a surge in drowning deaths across the state. Police Public Relations Officer DSP Ayalade Olayinka attributes the incidents to negligence and lack of supervision at rivers, dams and swimming pools. The command is calling on religious leaders, business owners and parents to take immediate action to prevent further tragedies. Religious organizations with centers near water bodies are advised to prevent unsupervised access for children during services and activities. Hotels and resorts are required to mark pools clearly, provide rescue tools, and employ certified lifeguards and swimming instructors at all times. Commissioner of Police Femi Haruna urged parents to monitor their children near wells, streams, and other water sources. Homeowners are also instructed to secure wells with covers and limit access. The command emphasized that water safety is a collective responsibility and encouraged citizens to report emergencies immediately. A 28-year-old U.S.-Nigerian man, Babatunde Afuape, has been charged with first-degree murder following the December 23rd shooting of 20-year-old international student Shivang Vashti on the University of Toronto Scarborough campus. Investigators say the attack was deliberate and premeditated, with no prior connection between the victim and suspects. Afuape, a parolee with prior firearm offences, was tracked by police for an hour before being apprehended on December 28 for violating parole. A firearm was recovered, and authorities are calling on witnesses from Highland Creek Trail to come forward. Avashti, a third-year student active in cheerleading and powerlifting clubs, was described by friends as protective and kind. University officials and Toronto police have reassured students that the immediate threat has been neutralized as the investigation continues. The Imo State Police Command has arrested 24-year-old Wisdom Onyaju following the assault of a 15-year-old girl in Owerri during Christmas period. The case gained national attention after the victim's sister posted a viral video highlighting the attack and challenges faced in reporting it. Police officers accused of demanding 100,000 naira to record a statement have been identified and will face an orderly room trial starting January 12. The SP Okoye Henry confirmed that the officers will face disciplinary action for professional misconduct. The command emphasized its commitment to transparency and accountability. Onyaju remains in police custody as he is interrogated ahead of arraignment, while authorities stress that both the suspect and errant officers will face the full weight of the law. The Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Dele Alake, has praised Dangote Cement PLC for implementing multi-million naira projects in Boko host communities, Benue State. Initiatives include motorized boreholes, youth skill acquisition centers, and expanded scholarship funds exceeding the company's obligations under the National Community Development Agreement. The projects were requested and certified by the communities to address urgent local needs. Dangote Cement also partnered with the Industrial Training Fund to provide vocational training and starter packs to youth, aiming to enhance long-term economic sustainability. Community leaders commended the efforts, noting improvements in electricity and essential services. The company plans for the expansion to ensure equal benefits across all host communities under the 5-year CDA roadmap. Residents are encouraged to take ownership and maintain the facilities. The Budget Office of the Federation has defended the recent repeal and reenactment of the 2024 and 2025 Appropriation Act, insisting the process is fully constitutional. The Director General of the office, Mr. Tanimu Yakubu, explained that the National Assembly is empowered to refresh budget acts as fiscal realities change under Section 80 to 84 of the 1999 Constitution. Critics alleging unauthorized spending were addressed, with Yakubu clarifying that debt servicing, long-term contract and statutory transfers are often misunderstood as improper expenditure. The agency reaffirmed its commitment to transparency and adherence to the Fiscal Responsibility Act. The public is warned against unverified reports that may mislead during the legislative process. Nigeria's maritime sector has undergone major reforms in 2025 under the Federal Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy led by Dr. Adeboyega Oyetola. Highlights include the final clearance of the 20-year Apapa gridlock, reducing cargo dwell times, lowering logistics costs, and modernizing Lagos ports. Nigeria also returned to the International Maritime Organization Council after 14 years, gaining influence in global maritime governance. Domestically, port modernization programs and compliance certification for Bakassi and Ondo deep-sea ports aim to attract private investment. The establishment of the Regional Maritime Development Bank and approval of the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund will unlock long-term funding for ship owners and port developers. Officials say this measure positions the sector as a major driver of economic diversification. Nigeria could generate $10 billion annually by shifting from raw cashew exports to full-scale processing, according to Dr. Joseph Ojo Ajenako, president of National Cashew Association of Nigeria. The country produced 400,000 metric tons valued at $700 million last season, but poor documentation and illegal exports limit revenue. Experts highlight value chain processing, including byproducts, as a major opportunity for industrial exports. Nigeria has partnered with Vietnam for technology transfer to modernize local factories and replicate global processing successes. The NCAN will host Nigeria Cashew Day in Abuja on January 22 to 23 to push for a national cashew policy that safeguards farmers and attracts investments. With proper legislation and infrastructure, cashew could rival oil as a key revenue source. Nigeria faces Algeria in the AFCON quarterfinals in Marrakesh with this Saturday. Strikers Victor Osimhen and Ademola Lookman, with 3 goals each, aim to break through Algeria goalkeeper Lucas Zidane, who has yet to concede in the tournament. Nigeria leads the competition with 12 goals, while Algeria remains defensively strong after a recent extra-time win. Both sides are set for a high-stakes matchup, with Zinedine Zidane attending to watch his son Luka. Other quarter-final matchups include Morocco versus Cameroon, Egypt versus Ivory Coast, and Senegal versus Mali, featuring some of Africa's top-ranked teams in competitive knockout fixtures. National Sports Commission Chairman Shehu Diko has addressed delays in Super Eagles allowances at AFCON 2026. Speaking from Rabat, he said the federal government allocated a bulk fund for multiple international tournaments, not just this event. The delay is due to structural changes in the Ministry of Finance affecting fund release across sectors. Diko assured that the NFF's approved budget has been received and is being processed. Players' bonuses are secure and the NSC is coordinating timely payments. Preparations continue for Nigeria's quarter-final clash with Algeria, with financial arrangements confirmed. Nigerian music star Peter Okoye, aka Mr. P, is trending after sharing a video of his serene retreat to his own village. The clip shows him enjoying natural surroundings and palm wine, highlighting a lifestyle shift from urban chaos to rural peace. Fans and celebrities including Ayo Mekun and Destiny Etiko praised the move, calling it a return to roots aesthetic. Okoye emphasized the mental and physical tranquility offered by village life. Despite his quiet retreat, Peter continues to assert his solo career identity post-P Square. He remains engaged in the music industry while prioritizing heritage and personal well-being over city life pressures. Nollywood actress Annie Macaulay reflected on 2025 as a painful blessing, following personal upheaval, including her separation from singer Tu Baba. She has publicly reclaimed her name and declared her single status, signaling a fresh start. Macaulay archived her past on social media and paid tribute to her support system, prioritizing peace and emotional well-being. She emphasizes a soft life era focused on mental health and personal boundaries. Professionally, she has secured new endorsements and high-profile appearances, including collaborations with Regina Daniels. The actress credits her 2 daughters for her strength and is committed to moving forward with dignity. And now to end news across the country, here are the main points again. The Rivers State House of Assembly has officially commenced impeachment proceedings against Governor Similayo Fubara. Lawmakers allege grassroots misconduct, prompting a formal investigation into the actions of the state's executive leadership. The United Nations has urged the Nigerian government to take urgent measures to safeguard schools and civilian populations following a deadly attack on a local market. The UN emphasized the need to prevent further loss of innocent lives. Tragedy struck Nasarawa State as 4 people lost their lives in a recent health crisis. Health authorities have placed several workers in isolation as precautionary measures to contain the situation. The Oyo State Police Command has sounded an urgent alarm over a surge in drowning cases across the state. Citizens have been warned to exercise caution near rivers, dams, and swimming areas to prevent further fatalities. And that's news across the country at noon. For breaking news and eyewitness reports, call 070-3043-7110 or follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. On behalf of the producer, Chidima Sogwa, and the entire news team, I'm Deborah Wakba, thanking you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Looking for a window to the world? A place where news, entertainment and culture come alive. Welcome to Aneke TV, your ultimate destination for stories that matter and moments that inspire.
At Aneke TV, we bring you breaking news, exclusive interviews, and live events coverage, all with accuracy, integrity, and a fresh perspective. From the heart of Nigeria to the far corners of the globe, we keep you informed, entertained, and connected.
Whether it's sports highlights, music and lifestyle trends, community stories that touch lives, Aneke TV is more than just television. It's your companion in every moment. Rich, vibrant and truly unique, our programming celebrates the diversity and energy of Nigeria while keeping you at the pulse of the world. Don't just watch TV, experience it, live it, move with the world with Aneke TV. Follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Because at Aneke TV, the world comes to you.
Aneke TV, move with the world.
Good day, viewers. As Nigeria steps into 2026, the country faces many challenges, from the economy and security to education and healthcare. We hit the street to hear from Nigerians themselves on what they believe should be the nation's focus this year.
I think the task, we really need to understand what the tax is all about, because I don't think most Nigerians really understand what it is presently. We are just, everybody's just hearing tax. Everybody's just, when you see online, you just hear people saying, add description this, add description that. But I think there's a whole lot about the tax that needs to be addressed to Nigerians so that we really know that this is what this tax is all about and how we all should go about it. It's going to affect a lot of people because they don't even know what it is. Yeah, so, but when you get to know what you're doing or how you to go about it, I think it will help you understand the whole taxation thing.
If I should say, that should be two. First of all is insecurity. Then number two is that is for them to create, what is it called? What will make people to make ends meet in order to suffer masses. So I believe, first, if the insecurity is tackled, I believe every other thing should be settled. There's nothing like freedom. If you don't have, like I traveled, I feel free, I feel comfortable over there. Be like, but what's coming here has to be security alert because you don't know when time they will strike. You understand? So that's one thing I see, that if they can tackle it in Nigeria, everybody will have freedom to move, freedom to do whatever thing they like to do without fear or molestation of anybody.
They should focus on betterment of their citizens, like create employment opportunities, make the standard of living to be very conducive and comfortable for their citizens.
I think the important thing now is, let me say, economies. You understand? The community of Nigeria now and bandits. You understand? All these terrible things have been happening around. You understand? At least Nigeria, the government needs to put eye on it. You understand? Because for letting our president, you understand, for letting another president, you understand, interfere in our matter, it's just letting another man interfere in your family issues. We don't have securities. You understand? There's any security. So now you need to enforce more security. You understand? If want to stop it, we will stop it. But I don't know what is happening. You understand? They know where all these people are. They will go there and fetch them. You understand? If they want to do it, they will do it. You understand? So that's the thing. They know what to do. They don't want to do the right thing.
Nigerians, everyone should work hard, especially the youths. We should stop blaming government. We should work hard. Learn and work, whatever you are doing, focus on it. Understand? And believe in God. Let's stop all this blaming government of a thing. We know our government have issue, but if we focus on whatever we are doing, stop blaming government. I think government, the people on the top will look well and try to do well.
I want to make this about Nigeria, to helping people, because people is dying for hungry. Understand? If you watch waiting they happen, not be fair as big man rich as other people rich, and waiting at the place say our government to help people where they don't have, to help them and give them many of them food, because if you watch some of people or beggars, you need to help them, give them work. If there's some people who don't have work, they give them work.
There you have it. Nigerians have spoken, highlighting a range of priorities from job creation and security to education and infrastructure. Clearly, 2026 will be a year of crucial decision for the country. Stay with us for more updates on how these issues unfold. I am Sharon Uche, Aneke TV.
Today, by the grace of God, we are going to be looking at a very important aspect of this program. The work we are having today with God in our Christian journey and fulfilling our life is becoming so difficult. People are finding it difficult to live and to please God with their life. And today we are going to be journeying in this word of life as we look at becoming like Jesus, living like Jesus. How do we live our life each day to be like Jesus? How did Jesus navigate during his own days and was able to portray a good life that everybody around him was so appreciative of the type of person he was? In our workplace, in our businesses, in our journey, in our academic life, how do we live? And we say we are doing the right thing, and as Christians. Today, by the grace of God, I have with us our fathers in faith. First of all, I have a very beautiful man who is with us here. My father, a gospel preacher, a child of God whom we have witnesses to what God have done with him, and today we are pleased to have him. I introduce to us the very Reverend Dr. K.N. Okocha. He is a Methodist preacher and an international preacher. We want to welcome him as he joined with us today on Word of Life. Daddy, you are welcome.
God bless you. My viewers, God bless you. You're highly lifted.
Thank you. Also, we have a young preacher, a motivator, and a good preacher of the gospel. Our brother, also a man of God who has traveled wide. We have him with us here. The Reverend Victor Okweri, he's here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, we will say a word of prayer before we continue. Let me ask that very Reverend Doctor will give us a word of prayer.
Let us pray in the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Father, we thank you, Lord, for today, especially today being the first Thursday, Friday in the month of December. Papa, we appreciate you. Into your hands, Lord, you will commit our discussion. Grant us open heaven, grant us your spirit, direct our discussion, Lord Jehovah, that at the end of the day, souls will be won unto you, to your glory. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
we will want everybody to be part of this discussion today. So join us via the social media handles, share it and like it, and let's celebrate Jesus as we look at living like Jesus. Living like Jesus. I will read a portion of the Bible and we'll start the discussion. In the Gospel of our Lord Jesus, as recorded by St. John, chapter 15, I will begin to read from verse 1. And the Bible said, I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that bears not fruit, he takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he purges it, and it may bring forth more fruit. Now you are clean through the word which I have spoken to you. This is Jesus talking. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself except it abides in the vine, no more can you except if you abide in me. Now verse 5 says, I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me, and I in him, the same brings forth much fruit. For without me, you can do nothing. For without me, you can do nothing. We are looking at today's word of life in the discussion we're having today on the topic living like Christ, living like Jesus. We have seen in today's world, Christians are finding it difficult to find their place in their workspace, in education, in business, in career pursuits, and most of the troubles we are having is their inability to navigate through the troubles of life in today's life. And we want to see, how can I live as a Christian, as a child of God, and be successful in life? So many persons are feeling that if you want to do it to be successful, that you need to soil your hand. So many people believe you don't climb to the top unless you are in the wrong lane. But we believe also, as a child of God, as a person of Jesus, you can make it in life. I want us to start this way. Is it possible in today's world to live like Jesus? Your very reverend, sir.
Thank you. I love that passage we read. John chapter 15, verse 5 says, for without me, you can do nothing. For without me, you can do nothing. That is to say, by your strength, on your own, you can't do it. So as a person, it is not possible without the help of God.
Wow.
It is not possible. Because the Bible says in the book of Genesis chapter 6, verse 3, that every inclination of man's heart is just filled with wickedness and evil. And the Bible also noted in Proverbs, said that in the heart of every child is disobedience and wickedness. So as a carnal man, let me use that word, as a carnal man, that's the words of Paul, you can't live like Jesus. And let me also remind us, when we are talking about living like Jesus, we are just talking about emulating Jesus. That's what that word is. When we are talking about living like, is simile, or being in the form of living like Jesus, who has already shown us a way